Good evening, everyone. The time is 5:31 p.m. It is Tuesday, August 5th. I'm going to call this special city council meeting to order. Would the city secretary please call the roll?
Mitchell,
Here.
Heiser,
Here.
Rizzo,
Present.
Zuniga, Harris,
Here.
McKinney,
Here.
Tobias.
Present.
All right, 6 members present. We have a quorum. Next up, citizen comments. Is there anyone who wishes to come forward? Seeing none, we're going to close citizen comments. It's now closed. Next up is executive session. City Council will now go into executive session to discuss agenda items 1A through I, pursuant to Texas Government Code sections 551.071, 551.072, and 551.087. Thank you. All right, the time is 7:09 p.m. I'm going to call this meeting back to order. There was no action taken during executive session. There will be no action taken now. Motion to adjourn? Second. All right, we are adjourned. Good evening, everyone. The time is 7:09 p.m. It is Tuesday, August 5th, and I'm going to call this regularly scheduled city council meeting to order. Would all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The city secretary, please call the roll.
Mitchell,
Here.
Heiser,
Here.
Rizzo,
Present.
Zuniga,
Present.
Harris,
Here.
McKinney,
Here.
Tobias.
Present.
All right, all members are present. We have a quorum. Next up, approval of the minutes.
Mayor, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to consider approval of city council meeting minutes for July 15th, and also the special meeting from July 15th, 16th, regular special meeting 24th, and the 26th.
Second.
All right, motion by Councilmember Tobias, second by Councilmember Rizzo that we approve the minutes as presented. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, motion carries 7-0. Next up is citizen comments period. At this time, we ask anyone in the audience who wishes to come forward and speak on any item to please do so. We ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes and that you direct those comments to the mayor and council. We also ask that you fill out a citizen comments form and submit that to either myself or the city secretary. I have 4 folks registered to speak. First up is Sherry Boyette.
Good afternoon, evening, council, mayor, everyone present. My name is Sherry Boyette. I represent the Hays County Animal Advocate Facebook group and many rescue organizations. I'm here tonight because we're going to be talking about the City of Kyle's plans for municipal shelter. And I am hearing that there may be plans for partnerships. In the presentation attached to tonight's agenda, there is a minor note that says future partnerships will be discussed. So why I wanted to speak was to ensure that there be open discussions, as there were back several months ago with the entire county community. I know that the architects had really good feedback from the Kyle citizens, but now we're talking about expanding to a much bigger program. And so the feasibility study was for a city animal shelter. The architect's discussion and several community of Kyle presentations have been conducted with the intention of providing just a City of Kyle facility. With consideration for partners, Kyle residents must consider whether to bear the responsibility and entire burden, as has the City of San Marcos, which has been struggling for many years to sustain a large capacity beyond what the building was meant to hold. Should this be an expansion with what the City of Kyle was discussing as a feasibility study, I believe we need a revised feasibility study and much community input. I'm commenting tonight to encourage conversation. I don't mean to be negative in any way. I just want to have full transparency and all the partners in the community, for rescue groups, nonprofits, Paws Shelter, Paws on the Ground, all those organizations, and all area veterinarians. With a mere 41 dog kennels in tonight's plan and 36 cats, we're talking about probably doubling the facility size. So I would like to see that we revisit the size and plans entirely, ensure adequate capacity and adequate programming to sustain the future needs of animal services. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Next up is Vaughn Flores-Kale.
Good evening, members of council. My name is Yvonne Flores-Kale, and I came here to speak tonight on agenda item number 35, which is in regards to the city's charter. During the last meeting, we had some conversations, or you guys had some conversations regarding council members not receiving a job for up to 2 years. Mr. Heiser, Councilmember Laura Lee Harris, and Mark McKinney were all opposed to this. But I have a prime example of why it's important that council wait at least 2 years in order to find employment with the city. So in a letter that I received from the city manager, Brian Langley, sent to the council member states that the city would be hiring previous council member Ashley Bradshaw for the, quote, community engagement specialist position with Kyle PD. That new position was not in the 2023-2024 budget, although it may be noteworthy to know that Councilmember Bradshaw voted for all new positions during that budget, essentially voting for her new position. In that budget, the police department had narcotics investigator, administrative assistant, HR specialist, recruiting/background investigator, mental health officer, equipment manager, and facility/fleet coordinator. So maybe I'm overlooking this, maybe I'm making a big deal out of it. Let's talk about the qualifications for Ms. Bradshaw. According to open records that I received, her current position at the time was with Pro Solutions as an independent contractor. Additionally, for 2 years, she was a broker who directed leads within that brokerage, and from 2004 to 2011, she was a server/waitress. Her personal references were mostly incomplete. Most notable, her personal reference was her mom, 2 PTA moms, and a son's friend's mom. Her references in her application were Councilmember Robert Rizzo, developer Stephen Spears, and County Commissioner Walt Smith. So we're going to talk about salary because in the posted position, the salary started at $21.73. That was the low. The high was $27.17. HR suggested $30.28. Councilmember Langley then raised the price to $33 per hour. So the starting salary was $45,198 for a difference of what she was actually paid, $23,461. The high was $56,513 for a difference of $12,126. So my question is, maybe if you guys had the right pay on there, more applicants would have applied for the position. Additionally, as a timeline, Ashley Bradshaw's last day was 12/19 and was hired 21 days later.
Thank you very much. Next up is Michael McDonald.
Before we start my time, I want to tell you guys something. I hate coming up here. I absolutely hate it, and I hate that I say the things that I have to say to you. But someone's got to say it, man. Some stuff is out of control here, and that's why I come up and I speak against the stuff I do. Citizens of Kyle, we have a major problem. This coming fiscal year, 2025-26, our taxes are all going up, way up. The 2024-25 City of Kyle budget was $363 million. The proposed 2025-26 budget will be $603 million. The difference between 2024-25 and 25-26 budget is $240 million, a 66% increase. That is absolutely amazing. But wait, there's more. Consider these additional 2025-26 fiscal year increase for inside city limit customers. City of Kyle home property tax up $472 from last year. City of Kyle water rates up 20% from last year. City of Kyle wastewater rates up 6% from last year. Proposed Kyle Sportsplex over $150 million. Proposed road bonds over $130 million. I thought that the City Council had our best interest in mind. Does this sound like they do? On top of the City of Kyle fees and taxes, how about adding these as well? Hays CISD taxes, $377 million plus. Hays County taxes, $356 million plus. So whose fault is it that the City of Kyle budget increased $240 million in 1 year? We know where the blame lies, and it's not from us, the taxpayers. It's with those who had the power of the purse, those Kyle City Council members who voted for these increases. They are the ones to blame for burdening those who they say they represent. Sadly, a majority of council members don't seem to care that Kyle City taxpayers will be left holding the bag when these taxes are due. For example, it really must bother these council members who travel all over the country flying to different cities, attend multiple conferences, stay at fancy hotels, eat at fine dining establishments, take their clothing to dry cleaners, regularly buy $10 coffees, and eat breakfast around town, all the while charging all these fees to the City of Kyle taxpayer. Yes, it does seem like it bothers them. Not. Who can afford to live in Kyle after paying their yearly taxes? Can those on fixed incomes afford to live in Kyle? Does this council realize we have a crisis going on while they enjoy the perks on the taxpayer dime and vote for wants and not city needs? How sad that we can't trust most of our city council members. That's it.
All right, thank you very much. Sorry, I moved the last one. Next up is Stephanie McDonald.
Good evening, members of council. Once again, I'd like to speak on the ethics complaint against Councilmember Zuniga. I spoke about this when it was filed. From the onset, I was suspicious of the timing of this complaint and the motive for the filing. The appearance is that it was retaliatory, intimidating, and harassing. Bravo, Councilmember Zuniga, for standing your ground under the pressure you faced. This began with Councilmember Zuniga filing an ethics complaint against Mayor Mitchell this spring. About 2 weeks later, the mayor, after a vote with the council, delegated a complaint to be filed by the city attorney, Ms. Alcorn Reed, against Councilmember Zuniga. This alone breaks the Code of Ethics, Section 2181A. You cannot delegate anyone to file a complaint for you. You must file it yourself. Also see Section 405 of the city charter. Mayor Mitchell had no authority to give Ms. Alcorn Reed this direction. Why didn't Mayor Mitchell file a complaint himself? Councilmember Zuniga, during his complaint against the mayor, stated that the mayor is influencing the council. The mayor denied this, yet he dragged the council into the complaint against Councilmember Zuniga. This gives the appearance of a weak council. I'm appalled that no one, not one council member, stood up and said they wouldn't vote for this. Why didn't any of you stand up and ask the mayor to file his own complaint instead of being complicit in this? This complaint was brought in bad faith. The mayor also dragged Ms. Alcorn Reed in. The record reflects Ms. Alcorn Reed did not want to file this complaint. It's so obviously frivolous. See Code of Ethics, Section 2274C1. That's why the Ethics Commission ended up dismissing it. It was a big nothing burger. The commission's decision on this complaint was to simply send a letter to City Manager Langley, all members of council, including Mayor Mitchell, to clarify the terms recuse and abstain. See, Councilmember Zuniga recused himself, although not necessary, as no financial interest or gain was involved. And the council knew this all along. Ms. Alcorn Reed should have explained the difference between those two terms at the time of the meeting. All of this would have been avoided. Why didn't Ms. Alcorn Reed and the ECO, Sarah Kerr, check this complaint for legal sufficiency? This is a stain on the appearance of their legal competency. Sarah dismissed 4 other complaints from residents without even notifying the commission, but somehow this frivolous complaint from Mayor Mitchell and council sailed right through her hands into the hands of the commission. Ms. Kerr has been dismissing complaints without even notifying the commission that's tasked with this, because in Sarah's opinion, they lack legal sufficiency, but no, not this one. This one, even though obviously lacked merit. It's appalling to find out details of this complaint, and to put it nicely, what a bunch of shenanigans. It's budget time. I urge the council to rein in the spending. You're going to hurt both the affluent as well as struggling individuals and families of the city. No one's immune from the consequences of your choices. Vote for the Charters Commission recommendation for formal members of council to have to wait 2 years after serving on the council before they can be hired by the city. If you don't understand the justifiable reason for that, your moral compass is pointing in the wrong direction, and we certainly don't want you to remain on council. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, those are all the citizen comments forms that I have. Is there anyone else who wishes to come forward and speak? Seeing none, I'm going to close citizen comments. Citizen comments is now closed. Next up is agenda order. Item number 2. Does anybody have any items that wish to move around on the agenda? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on to agenda item number 3, reports and presentations. Receive a report, hold discussion, provide staff direction regarding the complete comprehensive feasibility study for the City of Kyle Animal Care Center. Mr. Elizondo.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight we have for you the final complete feasibility study for the Animal Care Center in the City of Kyle. We just a little bit of a history, and I won't go through all of this, but you all know, and anyone that's been watching knows that the San Marcos Regional Animal Shelter is releasing all of its ILA participants in 2026, and so we began a feasibility study on January 7th with Jackson and Ryan. We presented phase 1, which included need assessments, community input, operations, and data analysis on April 1st to council, and phase 2, which included a full site evaluation and operational and financial feasibility on June 17th. So this closes out that final phase. We're going to run through some elements of those first 2 phases very quickly with you guys, just as a recap, and then talk about the regulatory, legal considerations, and some conceptual designs for you all. I just want to say before I invite Jackson and Ryan up here, with Kim Hanchin, who's been here before, they've done a tremendous job on this feasibility study, and it has been and will be tremendously helpful in shaping a facility that's right-sized not only for the community, but if we do partner with anyone, we've also had conversations with Jackson and Ryan about researching what that would entail and right-sizing the facility depending on what that would be. And then also and grounding that in the operations and the data that we have is incredibly important to ensure that we have long-term success with the facility. So I'll invite Kim up here to run through the presentation, and we'll talk about next steps at the end.
Thank you. Kim Hanchin with Jackson Ryan Architects. And as Jesse said, we're here to provide a completion to the comprehensive feasibility study for the new animal care facility for the city of Kyle. And I did want to run through just briefly, we've been here before to talk about the process as we've gone through it. We've moved through all of these phases, and now we're looking at the regulatory legal considerations as well as the conceptual design. So we began the process with the needs assessment, and for this needs assessment process, it includes a site visit to the San Marcos Regional Animal Shelter, as well as visioning sessions that included stakeholders and city staff to understand the broad vision and goal for this potential new facility and department. And when we moved into programming workshops, which were far more detailed, looking at the programmatic requirements to meet those vision goals. And we also included in this process a data analysis for the city of Kyle specifically, looking at data from the San Marcos Regional Animal Shelter. The next step in this process was a community input phase, which is essential in determining what was right for this community. We looked at this via a digital survey as well as 2 community impact sessions. And the things that we found to be most spoken most frequently was not only an awareness of the situation for the animals in this region, but also a desire for a facility in the city of Kyle. We found a great support, both moderate and strong support for the funding of this facility. And we also looked at what were the most important features that we saw the community wanting to accommodate in this new facility, both dealing with overcrowding, habitat challenges in the space that exists now, as well as looking out for the health and safety of the animals and providing services to the community that don't exist or are not easily accessible currently. We also looked at this point, so we're taking the stakeholder input, the community input, and the data analysis, and then creating a program from that space. So we take all of this information, the qualitative and quantitative data, and take that to create a space program, which gives us an area requirement to accommodate the needs spoken in the visioning and programming sessions. What we heard was that a separated intake and adoption area was desired, and this allows us to create a separation from adoption, which is often joyful, and a space of welcoming, a space for the community, and intake spaces, which can be more sensitive and require a little bit more quiet spaces. We saw a desire for veterinary services, as well as habitats and the facility itself being healthful and allowing for abundant enrichment for the animals. We also saw a need for public services, providing a space to give services to the community that meets the needs to keep more pets in homes. And then finally, we heard over and over again that outdoor green space was essential to the future project. So from this, we moved into site evaluation. And as I said in the last presentation, we looked at 6 separate sites. We're looking at different parameters, trying to find a site that's not going to require a lot of investment in order to make it habitable, so outside of the floodplain, We're looking at a space that meets the community's desire for access to nature, walking trails, that we have an adequate space. We're saying approximately 6 acres would be ideal. This is variable. There's give and take to allow for this. But we did see an essential need for visibility and accessibility. The accessibility being primary to the community who will most need the services provided by the facility. So as we moved forward, we zoomed in on this site number 2, which is in the Vista Park area. It's a large site, so taking a portion of the site was what we were looking at doing. The visibility and accessibility from both Beebe and Daisy Lane was ideal. We have a lot of great frontage, a lot of great accessibility for the community that might be using it. We also have a lack of flood zone, which means that the investment in the site itself, which is also city-owned, is going to be minimal. And we also have that connection to the Vibe Trail, which was stated from the community as a desirable amenity for the site. So looking at regulatory and legal considerations, this is something that we completed in this final phase. What we were looking at were the core operational standards and requirements by not only the state of Texas, so the requirement that animals be evaluated by a veterinarian is one of those elements, but we're also looking at industry best standards. So that involves looking at organizations like UC Davis Corrett Shelter Medicine Program, as well as the ASV, the Association of Shelter Veterinarians, and their standards for what a shelter design should be. So we're looking not only at what the minimum standards are, but what are best practices? How can we provide habitats and spaces for staff, for the public, and for animals that are going to provide the highest level of health and well-being. We're also looking at building codes and zoning restrictions, and something that we discussed in the last time I presented was looking at the impact on the neighbors as well, so that we're making sure that any future designs are complying with building codes, but also not having a negative impact on neighbors nearby. This is also something that we talked about, the operational and financial feasibility. I'm going to move through this very quickly. We looked at the revenue and annual expense possibilities for a facility of this size with staffing requirements that meet the programmatic and visioning goals stated during visioning. We looked at operational annual revenue as well as fundraising opportunities, one-time fundraising opportunities that would occur at the beginning of the project, as well as expenses including supplies and utilities, as well as staffing expenses. And from this period of financial feasibility, we also had construction cost estimates looking at estimates of probable costs. We looked at a range of costs depending on certain unknowns and looking at a variable price possibility based on the programming requirements. Again, this is based off of the feasibility findings. It is not looked at in terms of value engineering, budget reduction, cost reduction options. So this is just a starting point. So all of that, the evaluation of the qualitative, quantitative data, looking at the community input, looking at the vision and the goals of the community. And again, this is specifically for the city of Kyle. We developed a conceptual design to illustrate what is possible in that realm and what would address all of the needs that we heard spoken. So we're looking at the site plan here. We're showing a site plan of approximately 7.3 acres. This also has a lot of flexibility, but in this design, it allows us for the future expansion or a flexibility of design as determined during the next phase, depending on the capacity requirements that are going to be required. It also allows us a walking trail in this space, which we wanted to provide separated from the public so that shelter animals could be walked through the space without having to interact with the public, creating potential reactivity or negative interactions. This site also allows us to pull traffic off of Daisy Lane onto Sunflower, which gives us 2 potential entry points. One for the public, which provides a lot of visibility for our public entrances, and then a separated staff entrance, which provides us with separated security, as well as a back of house that can pull visibility of those functions off from the public view. So this was the conceptual site, the conceptual building plan. We arrived at approximately 25,000 square feet as a conditioned area, and that's not counting an unconditioned sally port that we have off to the side that allows for vehicular intake in a secure environment. These animal counts here, 41 and 36, which were referenced earlier, don't include quarantine or medical isolation, nor do they include medical holding, which might be pre-op or post-op. These are intake holding, flexible holding, and adoption holding only. And we did design this space to allow for an expansion as needed during any additional phases of design. So I'm going to move into conceptual design imagery. This is a conceptual imagery of a potential frontage for this building. This is the one that faces Sunflower Circle. We wanted to highlight separate entrances for intake and adoption to create that separation, but make it clearly visible that this is for the adoption, this is for intake, so there was a clear wayfinding. We also, along that paw print path along the side, it pulls us back to the community space. So there's 3 separate ways to enter the building, and I feel like the wayfinding here is essential to the community's access to the space. This is the view from Daisy Lane. So this would be that frontage on Daisy Lane that creates a lot of visibility. We thought it was essential to make the building highly visible from the main frontage so that people knew exactly where they were going. They see the building before they arrive. This is the main adoption entry. The goal here in the discussion through visioning was to create a space that fits into the fabric of Kyle, into the materials and the aesthetic of the city, but also is something that is modern, and not only modern, but warm and welcoming. And we wanted to create a space that allowed people to know exactly where they were trying to be, that had a playful joy in the space. And again, you can see the paw prints leading you back to the community space on the right. This is another view of that adoption entry. And you can see the children pointing at the catio. That's the space for the outdoor cat space so they can interact with the animals that are lounging in the sun. And this is off to the other side, again, quite visible with the intake entry, but we've got a little bit more of a private space, a little bit more protected. The space is still public, but it has a different feel, and people who are accessing this are accessing for a different reason. So we want to make a very clear separation, but not minimize the function there. And then finally, this is the space for the community room where we have that visibility off of Daisy Lane. The community room itself is inside the building, but has an exterior space to allow overflow for large functions. This is a space for the staff. It's a staff training space. It's a volunteer training space, but it's also a space for public amenities, services to the public, providing, bringing in local nonprofits to provide low-cost veterinary care. By providing this kind of indoor-outdoor space and a joyful area, it allows a lot of flexibility and shows that this facility is a facility not only for the animals of Kyle, but also for the members of the community.
Just real quick before we finish up, I want to thank Kim and her team. They've just been a joy to work with. They've been just tremendously knowledgeable, and just thank you guys for everything. And the full feasibility study and the entire glossary behind it, including formulas and how everything is on the website. It's connected to the packet as well. I also want to thank Brianna and her team, our animal services team here in Kyle. They've also been a tremendous resource for everything that we've been doing. So we're moving full speed ahead. This is the August 5th full feasibility presentation, and then in the next couple months, September, October timeframe, we are going to move right into a design contract, get it before council so that we can start moving into full design for this project, because as you all know, we're on a time clock for this. So our long-term goal is to have full design completed in 2026 and start construction be completed in 2027, have it open and operating. Now, I will point out the partnerships that we're working on. We have several. We're going to talk about some tonight on a separate item. We will be working with those and negotiating those as we move into design, which is the perfect time to be in negotiation, because as we have all of the feasibility stats for the city of Kyle itself, we wouldn't want to design a building and then come back and take on partners. So any partners that we take on, the amount of intake that we need will also be contemplated as we go into full design, so that when we finally have a full design, it'll be with all of our partners and this building will be right-sized for the future. But with that, we'll take any questions.
Thank you, Jesse. Does anybody have any questions for Jesse or the presenter?
No, just wanted to just reiterate, this is not a want, this is a need. So that's one of the things I do want to get out to the public is knowing that we're getting ready to be pushed out of the San Marcos shelter. So knowing that we're on a crunch and a timeline, I love the amount of work that staff has put into this in the short amount of time. Thank y'all for y'all's hard work, diligence. Just wanted to remind everybody that we are getting pushed out of the San Marcos shelter, so we had to look for an option to take the intake ourselves. And thanks to staff, they've done a great job. So thank y'all for doing all y'all's due diligence and working hard on this project.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Councilmember Zuniga.
Yeah, I want to thank Kim, Jackson Hewitt, Jesse, Brianna's team. Y'all have done a wonderful job in getting us all the information in a short amount of time, like Councilmember Rizzo said. I know we are under, a timeline of moving and designing. I think that y'all hit on all the good points. The location, beautiful. The green space. If the facility could look something like this, I think that's a home run. I think it's a home run for the city. It adds value to all of our neighborhoods. That I get a lot of messages and photos, loose dogs, somebody come pick it up. So we definitely need this service as we're growing in this city, right? But that is also going to do a really good job for those animals that might need someone to adopt them, right? To have that inviting center that we all could be proud of. And I like how y'all have integrated the community design for nonprofits to be able to operate out of there. The only thing I would probably additionally ask would be that when y'all speak to the county, consider a stand-aside sort of facility where they can have resources, pet resources, low-cost services, so that we have more fixed or spay and neutered animals, which would reduce the burden on the overcapacity. But I think, if that was there, if that element was there, you have an all-in-one kind of area where people would get what they need, the pets would get what they need, and there'd be more adoptions, but also more community involved, and they would participate more. So I think y'all captured everything. I really was surprised and really satisfied with this presentation.
Appreciate the feedback, and as we go through design, we'll bring that back to council, and we can definitely look at adding some of those elements.
All right, does anybody else? All right, thank you all very much. All right, next up, we have quite a large consent agenda. Does anybody have any items that they wish to have pulled and taken individually? Motions?
Mayor, hold on. I do want to pull 6. It was just 6. Yeah, just 6 is what I want to pull.
Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve consent agenda items 4, 5, and 7 through 28, I believe. Yeah.
Second. All right, motion by Councilman Rizzo, seconded by the Mayor Pro Tem, that we approve consent agenda items 4, 5, and 7 through 28. Is there discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, motion carries 7-0. Next up is agenda item 6, consider approval of amendment number 1 to task order number 7 with Pape Dawson Consulting Engineers, LLC, for additional survey, design, and utility coordination for the Center Street On-System project of the 2022 road bond program in the amount of $127,563. This is Ms. Truelove's item. Mr. Rizzo, you have the floor.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a quick question. When we look at the, I don't know how far we're going on this. If we're looking at downtown, just looking at the right-of-ways, making sure we stay within our right-of-ways. If there's any property acquisition, make sure we highlight that early and make sure that we contact everybody early on this process. Is kind of what I wanted to say on this. And any information give me on that, that'd be great.
Absolutely, council member. We're doing our best to get out and notify property owners as we identify any easements, any parcels that are in question. So we've been working through that process. This particular amendment is for additional utility coordination that's needed, particularly for PEC coordination. We've been working with them on getting easements identified, both for the on-system and off-system portions of Center Street. So we're working through all that right now, but working with property owners as well. And we'll be reaching out.
And just keep in mind the historical areas in the town, making sure that we're following all the steps there is important as well.
Absolutely.
Cool, thank you. With that, I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda number 3.
6.
I'm sorry, 6, sorry.
Second.
All right, motion by Councilman Rizzo, second by Mayor Pro Tem, that we approve agenda item number 6. Is there discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, motion carries 7-0. Next up is agenda item number 29, public hearing. Hold a public hearing to receive comments on the program year 2025 annual action plan for the Community Development Block Grant Program as required by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. This is not a presentation item, but do you have a presentation for it as well?
I do have a presentation. If you want as well, we could also pull up item number 42. I think that one is connected to this item as well, although they are separate.
All right, I'm going to, let's see, open the public hearing, then pull agenda item 42. Is that good? Leave it open? I guess any way you want to do it? All right, so if there are no objections, I'm going to open the public hearing. Seeing none, that public hearing is now open. Is there anyone who wishes to come forward and speak on the CDBG items? All right, you want me to just close it and then go to 42? Well, I want to keep going in order. I wanted to hold the public hearing and get through the bond council items in particular and the other items that are ahead, if that's okay. We'll just keep going in order.
We can certainly do that item separately. 42 can be done separately.
All right, sounds good. All right, is there anyone else wanting to come speak? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Public hearing is now closed. We'll discuss that in a minute. All right, next up is consider possible action. Consider approval of a resolution authorizing memorandum of understanding between the City of Kyle and Hays County for a collaborative partnership project at Kyle Vista property. Do we
may
lose
have
Jesse?
moved a little
He's out there.
quickly, and we're trying to.
Yeah,
All right, I went faster than I thought. All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. We're excited tonight to bring you, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. We're excited to bring you a resolution authorizing a memorandum of understanding for what we just presented a few minutes ago, along with some other things. So the quick history on this item for anyone watching and for the council is internally, staff was working on several projects, 3 to be specific. They were all centered around the Kyle Vista property. And as we start, and a couple of them were partnerships that we were working on with the county. And as we started to look at all these projects together and piece them all together, we started to build them in as one project. And as we started to look at all these as one project, we realized that in one large partnership with the county and on this particular property, every piece of it could be enhanced and you could get a greater product and a greater benefit to the public when all put together. So that was really the history behind all of these projects coming together. I'm going to run through the 3 separate projects quickly and then some deal points and then take some questions from council. So for anyone watching, I know council's very aware of where the Kyle Vista property is, but for anyone watching that may not know, this is the location in the greater Hays County area. And then if we zoom in to the Kyle area, it's just east of 35 down BB and Dacey. We saw it in the previous presentation as well. And that site, about a year ago, we had a third party look at this site, just an overall assessment of the site and get some topography and geology of the site. And right now it is just greenfill. You can see pictures of it right there. But that company's assessment of this site, it's about 30 acres, is that it represents a prime location for development of any sort, including vertical development. And they said it's truly a beautiful site coupled with highly pleasing view lines. And if you've ever been out there, and I know many of you know this site very well, it's a beautiful site and the view from there is very nice. So the first section that we're going to talk about of this kind of 3-pronged project is what came out of our recently adopted PROS master plan. So this is a conceptual design of what a park on the Kyle Vista property could look like. This incorporated elements that were needed in our park system. Specifically, I would point out a regional dog park down there in the bottom right. That'll come into play in just a little bit. And then also an actual indoor facility and some multi-use sports fields that are in the top northeast section of that site. But this is just a concept that was put together. I will tell you that this is not contemplated in our 5-year CIP. So that means while we may, after 5+ years, put some sort of amenities or some sort of park on this site, in the next 5 years, we do not have any plans or any money allocated to put anything down on this site in the terms of a park or trails or open spaces, green spaces, or park amenities. The second portion of this was a project we were working on with the county, which was that southwest portion, which is about 13 acres. It's a 13-acre site, and we were looking at a possible partnership for a county administrative building there. And this would be a prime site for an administrative building for the county that has no services or anything anywhere close to this area for the citizens of Kyle or the greater Hays County region. So this would be a big benefit and location for both the county and Kyle residents, and a prime site, especially being there right off of 35 and quick access from BB and Dacey if the entire Kyle Vista site was built out. This is a rendering of what a building on that site could look like. The 13-acre site that we're talking about is highlighted in red there. There's a different angle looking from BB. And then the third element of this partnership is related to the Animal Care Center, and this is comes as no surprise to anyone, I think, but just as we were talking about the feasibility study a couple items ago, we have also been having conversations with Hays County as far as what they're going to do from a regional standpoint, intake in our area. I will tell you that as we looked at, as part of our feasibility study, we looked at not only the City of Kyle area, but we looked at what the intake is from a data analysis and numbers standpoint in the greater Kyle area, so our ETJ and outside of that area, not the entire Hays County region, but just our area outside the city. And I don't think it will surprise anyone that we are about 70% of the county's intake just on the outskirts of the City of Kyle. So we are a very heavy hotbed of intake when you look at the county. So if we're just talking the city, the numbers aren't that tremendous, but just outside the city, we have a large portion of the county. So when we started talking about partnerships with the county, it represents a large portion of what we would be taking in from the county. So we just saw this, so I'll skip through it and concepts. So what we looked at from a partnership standpoint and from an MOU standpoint was, what if we put all of these together? They're all contemplated on the same site and Kyle Vista property, and we had some deal points, but essentially we were talking about a Hays County administrative building on the southwest region, what you just saw in 2 items ago, which would be the animal shelter on that southeast region of the property, and then a build out on the rest of the property of Kyle Vista Park with park amenities and trails that complements everything that's going onto that property. And so as we started looking at that and meeting with the county, we started putting together this MOU. So we'll talk deal points now on these specific things. So the deal points for the county building would be that the idea is that we would lease that land to the county. They would take that land and they would build an administrative building on it that would benefit both county residents and Kyle residents and have valuable administrative services for the county and for Kyle right there on an easy to access location. And on top of that, they would give the City of Kyle a payment for that land and a payment for the opportunity cost of losing that land, which we have contemplated at $3,750,000. And the city would then, in this MOU, take that $3 million and invest it right back into that Kyle property for all of the park elements, trail elements, open spaces that are contemplated in that adopted PROS master plan. So the county would have a building that they would build and they would benefit from it as well as Kyle residents. And we would have funding for a park on the Kyle Vista property that currently is not contemplated in our 5-year plan. On top of that, based on our feasibility study, I will say that the types of animals that are coming in from our feasibility study that would be coming in from the county, they require longer lengths of stay and higher levels of care than animals that would be picked up here in the City of Kyle. And the intake numbers would increase what the City of Kyle would be intaking in, not for the entire Hays County region, but just for the region outside of Kyle. It would be about a 2.7 times increase of what we're taking in from that designated service area. So that's a tremendous amount, it's a tremendous jump from what we would be doing if we were just taking animals in to our care facility here in Kyle. But because of that, we've negotiated with the county that their cost multiplier for joining our animal care center would be about a 4.4 times multiplier, meaning they would pay about 66.98% of that capital cost for the building. So whatever the building cost is to raise and the right size of that building and make sure it has exactly what we need to intake all of those animals, they'd be paying just about 67% of that cost. Then with that comes a large operational increase on our cost because the types of animals that are coming in, the types of the amount of employees we would need to hire, and the types of services we would need would increase. And so that would be about a 5.3 times multiplier on what the city would need. So we've negotiated with the county a 71.54% based on those numbers chunk of the operation. So if our operational costs go up, they're paying 71.54% of that cost. And every year, based on the MOU and other agreements that we'll draft as we move forward, the city would do an annual intake evaluation of everything that's coming in, and then proportionally reassess those costs. So these costs wouldn't be in perpetuity. Obviously, if their intake numbers went down, then they would pay based on that. I will say that as a caveat, this is a City of Kyle facility. So while they are contributing to the capital costs and the operation, this facility would be wholly owned and operated by the City of Kyle, as would operations and programming and policy compliance and all oversight. So these would be City of Kyle employees, this would be a City of Kyle facility, and it would be run. We would also have an Animal Services Advisory Board that the county would sit on and any other partners would sit on. Obviously, we would get a lot of input from that board on policy and on programming, and that would run through council. So there would be a lot of input from our partners, but this facility would be owned and operated by the City of Kyle. So I won't run through all of these, but from a complete project overview, we truly see this as a tremendous benefit, not only to our Hays County partner, but also to the City of Kyle in putting all of these together. The MOU tonight outlines all of these different things, different deal points that we walk through. It's non-binding. Our next steps that we are contemplating are that we would take this MOU to the county. They would approve it and sign it if they agree with all the terms. So both sides would have signed it. And then as we move into full design for the animal care facility, and as we work out the deal with the lease and the payment for the park, all of that would come as separate ILAs to the council to approve. Their portion would be paid for the design as we move forward for the design. And then when we come with construction, their portion would be paid for the construction as we move forward for construction. So it'd be separate agreements as we move forward. But this MOU really starts that process and is kind of all the players say that we're in, and these are the deal points that we agree with. That's my presentation. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
All right, thank you, Mr. Elizondo. Does anybody have any comments or questions? Councilmember Tobias.
All right, thank you. Yes, this is in District 6, right over there by Chapel Middle School, for those people who may not know where that open land is. So just some quick follow-ups. You said we're working with county officials on that. Do you know who the people are that you've been communicating with?
The city manager and I, we both took the agreement and the deal points to the county commissioners in their executive session and discussed it with them.
Oh, okay. And so do they have any, I guess, a rundown of, you said 70% of the county intake is within that area, so they want to be able to service. What was their reasoning, or is there anybody from the county here to officially tell us the reasoning why they would want to have that facility there? What kind of offices will they be holding? What kind of services will they be providing for residents in that area?
Well, I certainly wouldn't want to speak for the county. I know they were administrative. I don't.
So just real quick, some of the things they were talking about, I was watching a Commissioners Court meeting today. They talked about expanding the Precinct 2 office, having, be able to do registration. If you go to registration right now, the lines are crazy. You can do it online, but it's still a long process. But having those services, having the health department and many other offices coming to the county, in essence, it's another county office with a lot of, resources for our residents on the east side that are lacking. as just some of the things that they were talking about, but it's opening up that precinct 2 office, having probably another constable's office, and also the court services as well, because the courtroom they're in right now is real small, so it's some of the things they talked about today in the meeting.
Okay, well, just was curious to know if there was somebody here that could address that from the county level, but that they're not here today, so I guess so. I wanted to really hear from them, since we're trying to partner up with them as well. Okay, so the next thing would be is, this would be still a city facility as far as we would still own the land, correct? We're just going to lease it out to the county?
For the county facility?
Yeah, for the county facility.
Yes, we would lease the land to the county.
Okay, so then they would still own the building, correct? So the building would belong to them, and then we own the land? Is that how that would work out?
So,
Yes.
so the idea is that it would be a long-term lease that would ultimately, most likely, at some point revert to the county, so the county land and building would then be all owned and operated at them. But it would be a long-term lease, and there's some legal provisions of why we have to do it that way.
Okay.
But that's been the concept that we've been working on with their legal office and ours as well.
Okay.
I did want to go back to the earlier comment you had about the use of the building. I still think that's somewhat in discussion with the county officials. There's many uses that they're looking at. Some of the discussion they've had is what size building, what all operations would be there. I think over the feasibility period, over the next few months, those kinds of items would come to fruition, and we'd get a little bit more precision about what we'd be doing there. One of the terms that we wanted to add in the MOU as well was that if the county building was not started within 5 years, that the land would then revert back to the city if they did not start that construction project.
Okay.
And likewise, if we did not start our projects or our parks, then we would owe the money back to the county as well. So they'd be under a clock to bring forward a proposal of exactly what they'd want to do. But I do think they're going to be having more discussion on that over the next few weeks and months.
Okay.
But I think everybody wanted to make sure we had an MOU of this is something that we're interested in proceeding on to actually get down to the contract details that would make sense.
Sure.
Hopefully that helps.
That makes sense, because if we have residents in that area that are catching wind that a county building is going to be developed over here, and of course, if you look at the slide that has all the park amenities such as multi-use sports fields and restrooms, and looks like there's possible swimming pool, splash pad. But then again, you're going to have, I want to be able to make sure that I can explain to the residents that, it's not a city facility. We don't have city offices there. It's a county that's trying to propose adding another benefit to assist the residents on that side of town. So I want to make sure that I have an understanding in case I get those questions from the people in the area of what's being utilized for that space. The detention pond, I know these are just maps and so forth. There's neighborhoods in that area. You got Indian Paintbrush, and you also have a middle school, and you've got kids I know that walk down that road. So I know that's not the final plans. Just kind of curious about how that detention pond would fit and the safety behind that as well with those neighborhoods there. And I think the last thing I have is if we partnership up with them and also with this animal shelter, again, it's going to be facility run, okay? It's going to be staff, city staff, and so forth. I guess going back to the question of it's going to be countywide to be able to intake these animals, or is this going to be within the city of Kyle that we know of?
It will not be countywide. That is, I can show you, I had a hidden slide on here. I can show you, this is the areas right here that we were contemplating as far as intake. It hasn't been drawn up officially. It will when we have a full ILA with the county, but in discussion with them, we were essentially talking about this area on the east side of Hays County, which has a tremendous amount of their intake, but no, we're not contemplating a regional shelter.
Okay. And the last thing would be is if, when we start looking at any kind of design concepts, if this goes through, would we consider maybe doing a task force to implement some of these ideas to go along with the public comment earlier about community engagement for this area, for the building itself, for the park itself, and also for the animal shelter as a combination? Maybe if we design a task force made up with some of the county officials, people in the city, when we have those meetings, we can also open it up to the community to kind of see where we're at as far as the development, how we're going to develop this, the parks, the building, and also with the animal shelter together. Would that be something that the council?
I think that'd be very helpful, Councilmember Tobias. We have in the MOU, it talks about an ad hoc committee just to guide, not to tell the county how to build their building or the city how to build this animal shelter, but to guide the harmonious design of all of these elements together, including park elements and trail elements. So I think it would be incredibly helpful to have council members and county officials on that task force.
Thank you. I yield.
I agree, and if that's the council's direction, we could bring an item back to the council at one of the next meetings to appoint that task force, and then as we're looking at bringing a design contract forward, all of those discussions can go through the task force and be recommended then to the council. Be happy to do that. And if we could go back to that other exhibit on the Cal Vista Park, I did want to clarify the rendering that we showed on this particular diagram. This is what we had in the master plan. This is not what we're suggesting be built at all these locations. So the detention pond was simply just a rendering of if we built some of the park-like features that were shown here, what that would look like. This is not a representation of what we're proposing on the site. So hopefully that's clear. All of these were just park amenities, not the animal shelter, the county building, and the other things. So all of this would need to come back for complete redesign.
Thank you very much for all the clarification, gentlemen.
Councilmember McKinney.
Yes. Over the weekend, Councilmember Tobias hosted a town hall, and there was a recurring theme about the city partnering with other entities and organizations to maximize, the benefit to the residents while minimizing the impact to the taxpayer. And I feel like this is a great example of what we've been working towards to accomplish and achieve that. So I like what I'm seeing here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Rizzo.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, the other thing, Councilmember Tobias, is I'd love to add that we maybe reach out to the school. That park being so close to that middle school would probably be great to get some feedback from the school, see what they're lacking as far as fields. It'd be something if you're amenable to in that area. I'd love to see that as well, making sure that we're working with all our partners. As Councilmember McKinney said, maximizing the best of our dollars, all of us, all the entities working together. So city, county, and school district.
All right, anyone else? Councilmember Zuniga.
Yeah, just that in, it's a great concept. I mean, I saw this in the master plans, renderings, and bringing together the county in here as a partner. And I think it's a win. And any way that we're looking at this, there's a lot of value just coming to our entire community and the county with this type of project. So also like to thank our council members for, being open to this. I know we tossed this around for several months, right? Was this what we wanted? Is this what we wanted to do at this site? And it's now coming to where we can see it. So thank you for staying on top of that.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? All right, thank you.
I just want to have one final comment. We appreciate the council's feedback. We also thank all of our county partners as well. They've been great to work with on this, and we truly see this as a win-win for everyone, including the residents of Kyle and Hays County. So we're excited to move it forward, and we'll bring this back to you in the future with the task force, if that's the direction I think I heard from the council. Unless there's an objection to that, we'll bring that back and then move forward with bringing you the other action items we talked about tonight. So thank you so much.
Are we wanting the task force to negotiate with the county commissioners? Is that the point of the task force?
I think it's just, I think what Councilmember Tobias was alluding to is seeing what the project's going to be there, the end project, correct, Councilmember Tobias?
Just to be able to have input, whoever on the council is going to be on that task force, is to be aware of what the county's needs, because again, the county's is approaching us as well. We have a need for an animal shelter. They have a need to service the residents from that point of view. So as long as we have that window open and we could be able to work with them to see what their needs are and our needs as well in that retrospect. And also the main thing is also to engage more into the community, especially in that area, because it's heavy populated with neighborhoods around, and you do have a school that's there. I just want to make sure that we partner up and do it right and make sure that we are as much transparent as possible. And just like we do with our past task forces, we not only just kind of look at concept designs, but we interact with what we can afford and also to see how we can get the funding as well. So if the county's saying they have a specific dollar amount that they can give out right off the bat, what could you utilize with that funding? You know, because it's really technically it's taxpayer dollars going from one bank to another in a way. You got county money going into the city. It's still all of our money because we pay taxes on all of it. But it's just a matter of making sure that we have that dialogue with the county commissioners to see, or the county to see what their needs would be. As far as you never know, it may be something else. They may need another courtroom versus just another precinct office. So it's just keeping that open.
I think where we would see some value of some kind of council involvement, if it's a task force, is to help us look at the design elements, all the specifics on the ILA, interlocal agreements that we'd bring back, to have a solid recommendation from the task force to the council of how you'd like to proceed on that. And then as you get in, certainly into the design, it's complex. There's a lot of moving pieces, making sure we take into account all those areas that you're wanting to look at. It's a big project. I mean, this is potentially a $25 to $30 million animal care center that we're looking at. The county's building will be very expensive. It's 70,000 square feet. We know how expensive those buildings are. So you could be looking at $80 million of investment in this area. So we want to make sure we get it right. That's I think the design elements, the overall look and feel and how these connect, I think would be helpful to have feedback.
Sure.
Just moving into public input and design, there will be hundreds of decision points. So I think that group will be incredibly valuable. And I want to echo what Brian said. We're very lucky to have such a great relationship with our county commissioners. And this was you say negotiation, it was a very good process of working with them and really elevating all of these different projects into one project, as Councilmember McKinney said. So we're very excited about it.
Well, that map made it real clear, that the heat map, your hidden slide, made it real clear where the animal, situation is. And so it makes just all the sense in the world to coordinate, outside of just city limit lines, as far as I can tell. So it seems like it's going to create synergy. And plus, if the county was going to have to put one, they'd have to put it right next to ours. And so that doesn't make sense either. So it seems like we're approaching this from the right standpoint and it's like what Councilor Zuniga said, it makes all the sense in the world. So does anybody want to volunteer to participate in these meetings and discussions?
I would like to.
All right, Councilor Tobias, Councilor Rizzo. What do you think?
Do you want three? I mean,
Well, we don't have to have three, but
no, I'm okay. I mean, I like what I've seen. So,
okay.
I mean, do y'all want three?
Yeah, usually a task force has three, so that way we can have deciding votes.
Okay.
If you don't want to do it, I will.
Mark, would you like to be on it?
Sure.
All right.
All right. You're going to bring back resolutions, aren't you?
Yes.
All right.
Come back at the next meeting. It's not posted tonight, but
Yes.
we'll bring it back.
You hearken back to the old task forces. We hadn't conceived of such a thing. So, All right, sounds good then. All right, motion to approve the MOU.
Second.
All right, motion by the mayor, second by Councilmember Tobias. Is there discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. All right, motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Can we put that resolution on consent with the three names? All right, next up is agenda item 31, first and final reading. Consider approval of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of City of Kyle, Texas General Obligation Bond Series 2025 in an amount not to exceed $45,900,000, levying a continuing direct annual ad valorem tax within the limitations prescribed by law for the payment of the bonds, authorizing the execution of any necessary engagement agreement with the city's financial advisors, and providing for an effective date. Our financial advisor is here, Mr. Mark McCliney.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. My name is Mark McCliney with Samco Capital Markets, city's financial advisor. Stephanie Libby with Norton Rose Fulbright, right there. She moved seats. of course, your bond counsel and can handle any of the legal questions that come up. Over the last several months, at your all's direction, we began this process to go out to market. And today, the first item is on the GO bonds. So a little bit of the background. In 2022, you all voted, as citizens voted, $294 million for the street project. In 2023, we issued $45 million, leaving $249 million left for the major street program. In addition, and it's not on this slide, we had $7 million left from the park projects that were voted in 2020.
Got it.
And so we were moving forward with $7 million of park projects and $38.9 million for street projects. So the next phase of the street projects and the finishing of that 2020 park projects for $45,900,000 GO bond sale. So today we went out to market at 9:30. The senior manager, Senior manager was RBC Capital Markets. Co-managers were R.W. Baird, Frost Bank, and Piper Sandler. So we had a local Frost Bank and then national firms covering it to get more exposure for the city. The pricing went very well. It was oversubscribed from the original pricing. So what that means is we priced it at certain levels, each maturity, and then if it's oversubscribed, they lower the interest rate on each maturity until they lose enough sales to get the lowest possible rate for us. So depending which maturity, we had it decreased by 1 to 7 basis points. And when it was finally completely sold, we were at a 4.80%. Combined with the COs, the debt service on the COs, which is going to be the next item, it's going to take the tax rate, total tax rate, to 59,588 from where we discussed back in April and May and June of 6171. So not quite as high, while still paying an extra $4 million of principal to get the long-term debt paid down. And that saves us, that last line, $3,550,000 over the life of that bond by making that $4 million additional principal in the earlier years. So we thought we were meeting and exceeding what your all's direction was for the general obligation bonds. The bonds were priced today. If approved by council, we'll have the funds in the bank August 27th. So requested well, first of all, are there any questions about the bond process, what we did, what the final results were, and how the market was in relation to Kyle bonds?
Anybody have any questions for Mr. McCliney or Ms. Libby? Councilor Tobias.
So when we're looking at this year's budget of the $604 million, the 294, if approved, would be the increase that we had seen for the year compared to last year, correct? Is that what we're looking at? Because now the bonds are now matured to where it'll be now finally deposited in our account?
Well, we're issuing another, I want to make sure we're clear, we're issuing another $38 million approximately for street bonds. This is additional debt, and they will be paid off over the next 30 years. So there'll be principal and interest payments over the next 30 years. So it's additional debt that we're accruing with this particular issuance and the one that you'll consider in the next item. There's also additional debt in those items as well. But the bonds are being issued. It's just debt, and they're added on, and then we pay those off over a 30-year period. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
I want to make sure I got.
Well, it's
sure I understood.
because when we're talking about this year's budget being at the 600 mil rate, that this right here is the increase.
Correct.
For
Yeah,
that.
that is
So I
correct.
wanted to make
Yes,
it clear. Last year was 394. This year is 604. With the 294 that we got plus the additional is the reason why this year we see a very large number that the residents are seeing on the
Yes,
on
sir.
the bond?
It's part of that. It's this plus some of the water and wastewater projects that are being included as well.
Okay.
And those are all capital-related items that are included in that 600 million.
Yeah,
That's the majority of-
406,
That's what's driving it.
460, and the
Yes, sir,
budget
about 460 million is the capital
130,
items.
241 for the wastewater utilities, and 30 million on the parks. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
that's what we had for
Yes,
Saturday.
and-
That's
and
what we
I
talked about
think
on Saturday.
I think it goes without saying, but just for clarity, if this issuance is approved this evening, the tax rate will need to go to that 59, I forgot what the exact figure, I know we're still working on the final
59,
figure,
yeah.
5960, something like that. The tax rate will at least need to go to that number to meet the debt, the obligations of that debt. We'll have some more discussion on the budget. You'll have some more opportunities to think about that, but I do want to be clear.
Yes.
The tax rate will need to go up with this debt issuance.
And then when we were talking about the original bond, I think it was mentioned to the public, we were looking at that 59.
99.
59 range. So we're there now.
Yes, sir.
And that's what we had talked about.
Yes, sir, and that's what Mr. McCliney and Ms. Libby and I have been looking at to try to make sure that we could try to get as much of that principal prepayment done early. I think in accordance with the council direction, I think we had back in April.
Yes.
But to also keep us under that 60 cents that the
Yes.
council had committed to the community
I think
on.
that's what was our goal, is to
Yes,
be
sir.
right at that mark. And then with the 61, and I know we were trying to work our way down. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very
I know
much.
that was a little higher than
I
you
yield.
wanted.
And so just to clarify, with these two votes that are in accordance with the budget, when you're talking about the rate coming to the 59.50 or whatever that number is, that locks it in, which means that there's no scenario where we go back up. So this establishes the ceiling there, correct? Meaning that
For this year,
for this year, that's what,
Yes,
that's
yeah,
what I'm saying.
there's-
In terms of our budget and our tax rate, because the tax rate proposal was to be at 61 cents. These votes is going to bring it down to below what the voter-approved threshold was from the 2022 bonds.
well, I think we're saying the same thing. And I want to point out that we haven't gotten all the paperwork from Hayes CAD yet to finalize it. But it looks like that the voter-approved rate, which would be the highest that we could go, is going to be at 59,588, plus or minus. That's going to be the voter-approved rate. That's going to be set the budget. So that will be your high threshold.
Right, but but before this decision that we're making now, we could have moved it to 61, which is what was proposed.
Correct.
So my point is, with this vote, because of the 4 million in defeasance, you're setting it to this particular rate. So we know we're going to come in underneath what the voters authorized.
Correct.
When the budget and the tax rate vote comes here in a month or two.
Yeah, you'll still have an opportunity on August, I believe it's August 19th, and Professor, correct me if I'm incorrect on the dates, but August 19th, there'll be a vote to consider the maximum tax rate. The council will have to set that, and there's some truth in taxation requirements, and making sure I say all these correctly. So Stephanie, if you want to jump in and make sure, it looks like you had something to say on that as well. If I'm missing something.
Well, I think
It's been a
we're
while
probably-
since I've done
yeah,
that,
No,
so.
I mean, I think we're probably saying the same thing, but the information that was provided to the voters at the time of the election was informational. It didn't in any way limit council's ability to set the tax rate. So the 59,588, that's the numbers that Mark and Perez calculated based on most recent Hayes County Appraisal District valuations. There's still some additional calculations that the county's doing, so that number may fluctuate slightly, but that is, as of today, the best estimate for where the tax rate will need to be set for this upcoming year, based on the debt service schedules for both the bonds and the COs that were issued today. And the 60 cents or the 59.99 that was communicated to the voters at the time of the election pertained only to the road bonds. This 59,588 is inclusive of both the road bonds and the certificates of obligations. And so that was debt that was not contemplated at the time the election was held, but you're able to finance that and still stay within that tax rate that was communicated to the voters at that time.
So just to
Does that answer your
recap, what you're
question?
saying there is that we were able to compile more debt without even hitting the 59 cents that was part of the language for the bond. So I'm taking that as a positive thing that we were able to navigate this entire process pretty well. Is that
I think
accurate?
it helps with the communications that we're going out with the voters, because I think we understand it, and you guys understand that. I'm not quite sure that the citizens truly understand the distinction in that tax rate between what was the tax rate for the GO bonds and what's the tax rate for the certificates of obligations, because they just view it as debt. But again, at the time of the November 2022 election, we communicated what we thought the estimated tax rate would be to support those road bonds. And we've come and we will issue the road bonds, authorize the COs to meet other capital needs of the city, and still stay underneath that rate that was communicated to the voters.
I think that's pretty clear.
Didn't mean to talk out over. I didn't know if you were done or not. So we were paying off the debt and still being able to issue out the road bonds, and we're still underneath that 59, because the proposed was 61, even though we have 21 in cost savings, but it says 6171 was the proposed.
6171 was proposed because they were estimating 59 for the road bonds, and then 2 cents to support the COs.
Yeah.
And just because of pricing, appraised values, interest rates, we were able to stay under that 60 cents.
With an additional $4 million in
With an
prepay.
additional $4 million. Yep.
Right.
Okay.
This would be a drill we'll have to do again next year or whenever you're selling bonds. What's the valuation doing? What's the interest rate in the market? What COs are you issuing in addition to the GO that are voted? So it's just going to be an ongoing drill that council, staff, and us are going to just have to keep working through, and we're going to keep trying to keep that tax rate as low as we can.
Right. And so to be clear, we could have kept the tax rate slightly lower than this, but
Right.
if there's a trade-off in that choice, and the trade-off was, instead of building out the roads and the infrastructure projects concurrently that we've been working on and planning to build concurrently for years now, we would have to essentially stack them up sequentially, and that pushes projects off many, many years, and also carries with it the potential for the projects to be much more expensive. So council, for several years in a row now, has made affirmative decisions to go ahead and put these projects in motion, and it's saving on interest, but also the projects right now are coming in under budget as well. So it's from a financial standpoint, it is I would say very wise the way that we're handling it.
Yeah, and we had one just opened up last week.
Yes.
We had a brand new road that just opened up.
And the Kohlers and BB project came in under budget, and if we were, trying to work the rate sequentially, we wouldn't have even been ready to start.
They're already plowing the fields.
All right. Any other discussion? Motions?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item 31.
31, you're right. I'm sorry.
Second.
All right, motion by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Councilmember McKinney that we approve agenda item 31. Is there discussion on the motion?
Yeah, I just want to kind of echo what y'all are saying. I mean, this is strategic. We're coming in under what was proposed in 2022. And these are GOs, so money that we have to issue for these roads that we've built.
Correct.
And to the point, Mayor, I mean, we've staffed up our department with transportation directors, staff, to handle these projects as they come online. And it's just, you don't want to issue all the bonds at one time, you just would be paying the interest. So we're doing this very strategically. So thank you, guys.
All right, any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Our motion carries 7-0. Next up, agenda item 32, first and final reading. Consider approval of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of the City of Kyle, Texas combination tax and limited pledge revenue certificates of obligation, Series 2025, in an amount not to exceed $79,050,000, providing for the payment of said certificates by the levy and an ad valorem tax upon all taxable property within the city, and further securing said certificates by lien on and pledge of the pledged revenues of the system, authorizing the execution of any necessary engagement agreements with the city's financial advisors, and providing an effective date. Mr. McClany.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Again, this is the second part of the financings we've worked on this spring. That's the certificates of obligation. So the first, what we already did and approved was the general obligation bond. The certificates of obligation were, and it's a compilation of projects, and we'll get to them on the next slide. But you all, in April, we had direction. In June, we actually authorized the notice of intention to give your citizens notice that we're going to be doing a funding of $79,050,000. And this is going to fund several projects. It's the water utility system, some wastewater, TERS, number 2, the roundabouts and lighting, park improvements, and then citywide intersection improvements. The general fund is supporting, INS taxes is supporting $15,350,000 of it, the second column from the right. The TERS number 2 is supporting $9,600,000, and then the water and utility system is covering $54,100,000. Again, we went to the market at 9:30 this morning. The lead manager, RBC Capital Markets, again, with the co-managers of R.W. Baird, Frost Bank, and Piper Sandler, got lots of exposure. This one was actually even more successful, had more orders. Some of that was due to larger size. A larger bond issue gets these larger mutual funds and bond purchasers buying it, and they need minimum size. All these maturities were all greater than $1 million. That drove down the interest rate from 3 to 7 basis points, and the yield on this, the TIC, true interest cost, came in at 4.72 versus 4.8 on the other bonds. So,
Mark, just to interrupt, how is it that the CO bond debt was, it looks like slightly less than the GO bond debt? I would think GO bond would have a lower rate.
Well, they
Is it
view
because
them as the
waterway
same
struck?
credit
Okay.
because it's a general obligation, COs and GOs, even though this has a double barrel pledge with the utility system. But the reason, there's a couple of reasons. One, the larger pieces, each maturity got more bidders because in the GOs, we had several maturities that had less than 1 million bonds in it. And so that loses some interest because some of those mutual funds need to have 1 million or more. And so when you have 1 million or more, you get all the mutual funds bidding on these, where some wouldn't put orders in on the GO bonds. The second reason for that is the average life on the GO bonds was slightly lower, shorter than the general obligation bonds. The general obligations average life was, or the final maturity was 30 years and was targeted there. But on the COs, there was a portion that was 20 years. The utility system was 30 years, the TERS was 25 years, and the general fund portion was 20 years. So that average life brought it down, which drove the interest rate down also.
Okay.
Again, combined with the GO bonds, we're able to keep that tax rate estimated at 59,588, subject to Hayes CAD coming in with the numbers. And they've seen it once. They just need to review it and see it again and sign off on it. The timeline, we've gone through much of it, but today we're selling the COs. If approved by City Council, funds will be in the bank on August 27th. We are looking, the option is to proceed or not to proceed, and staff's recommendation is to authorize the certificates of obligation.
All right, thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments on this? Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, motion by the mayor, second by Councilmember Harris, that we approve agenda item 32. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries 7-0. Thank you all very much.
Thank you all very much.
All right, next up, we have some elections to call. Agenda item 33, first reading, consider approval of an ordinance calling the general election for City Council Districts 1 and 3 on November 4th. Ms. Alcorn Reed.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Amy Alcorn Reed, City Attorney for the record.
purpose of this item is to call the general election on November 4th of 2025. The seats for Districts 1 and District 3 do expire in November of 2025, and therefore we are required to have this election. The general election date is November 4th of 2025. The application period for place on the ballot has already opened and will continue to be accepting applications for place on the ballot until 5 p.m. on August 18th. And then we'll have a drawing of the names for order on ballot on August 21st. And the runoff will be on December 13th, 2025 if it's necessary. Do you have any questions?
All right, any questions on that? Pretty straightforward. Motions?
Motion to approve is read.
Second.
All right, motion by Councilmember Rizzo, second by Mayor Pro Tem, that we approve agenda item 33. Is there discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries 7-0. Next up, agenda item 34. Consider approval of an ordinance calling a special election for the mayor and for City Council District 2 to be held November 4th, 2025 to fill unexpired terms. Ms. Alcorn-Reed.
Thank you, Mayor. So the seats for the mayor and for District 2 have become open due to resignations because the charter and the state constitution do require us to hold elections to fill those vacancies within 120 days. And because the general election date is within those 120 days, we're going to have that election at the same time as the general election. We are required to call that election. Applications will be open as soon as the council orders this election, so either tonight or on second reading, if we don't get 7 votes tonight. And they will close at 5 p.m. on September 3rd, 2025. You can file at the Public Safety Center to run for office. And the name drawing would be on September 5th, 2025 to determine the order. And again, the runoff would be on December 13th.
All right, any questions? Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, motion by Mayor, seconded by Councilmember McKinney that we approve agenda item 34. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, motion carries 7-0. Do we need to have final passage on these, or have we changed the way we do that?
We could do final on both of those. That would be great.
Are there any objections to finally passing agenda items 33 and 34? Seeing none, agenda items are finally passed. Next up is agenda item 35. This item has a public hearing. First reading, consider approval of an ordinance ordering a special election to be held on the question of adoption of amendments to the charter of the city of Kyle, propositions A through Q, and designating November 4th, 2025 as the date of the special elections. If you want to present, then I'll do the public hearing, and then we'll leave it for discussions.
Okay. Background, the Charter Review Commission met over the last 6 months from January through June. They did a lot of really good work and recommended several amendments. We did review those proposed amendments on July 24th of 2025, and the council made some recommendations on some to proceed with and some not to, partially to consider the number of items on the ballot, wanting to prioritize things that might be more important to the council. The proposed ordinance provides for the red line changes as well as the ballot language for propositions A through Q. I'm going to just kind of show a list on the screen instead of going through them all of A through Q. So the options are to approve the ordinance as presented, to approve it with amendments, or to deny the ordinance. This item does have a public hearing.
All right, so if there are no objections, I'm going to open up the public hearing now. Seeing none, public hearing is now open. Is there anyone who wishes to come forward and speak on this item? Go ahead. Please state your name for the record.
For the record, my name is Yvonne Flores-Kale. I'm here to talk about this agenda item, and hopefully you guys can reconsider placing an item on the ballot. Just to go back to what I was talking about as far as staff being, or council being hired as staff, I just want to give a brief timeline of Ashley Bradshaw's hiring. So on December 18th, 2023, Chief Barnett requested an untitled position. As a side note, HR had to research the title and salary as it was not on the budget. 12/19, the first applicant that, or no, 12/19 is Councilmember Bradshaw's last meeting. On 12/28, 9 days after her last meeting, the first application was received by the city of Kyle by Ashley Bradshaw. 28 days later, on January 8th, there are interviews. 22 days later, after her last day on council, January 10th, there was an applicant by the name of Brandon Colin, was sent an email stating the position was filled. On February 7th, the position closes on TML. This is a month after the position was filled. I want to do a side note. In the first 2 weeks, there were 18 applicants received by the city of Kyle. On the last 4 weeks, from January 10th to February 7th, no further applicants were received. So mysteriously, for 4 weeks, nobody applied for this position. On February 14th, HR sent an offer of $30.28 to Councilmember Bradshaw. There were emails back and forth stating that the salary should have been $33. On February 15th, 2024, the job was accepted. As another note, the process from her last day to hiring of the position started 1 day before her time was up, and it was a total of 48 days from the time that she gave up her seat until the day that she was hired. With this kind of perception, I would like to think that the city council could do a better job of ensuring that the applicants with the city of Kyle have a fair opportunity. If the amount of $33 was originally listed on the job listing, the city could have had more applications with possibly more qualified candidates. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to come forward? And please state your name for the record.
Earlier, the vote for the Charter Commission's recommendation for former members of council to have to wait 2 years after serving on the council before they can be hired by the city. Please take a look at that again. If you don't understand the justifiable reason for that, your moral compass is pointing in the wrong direction, and we certainly don't want you to remain on council. As election season begins, we're closely watching your decisions. This is a no-brainer, guys. I mean, I know you guys think, if I'm the best qualified for this position, why should I be punished? You're not being punished. Number one, this is a city that's located between two large metropolitan areas, Austin and San Antonio. In between that, we have a lot of cities. There are a lot of potential applicants. As Ms. Flores-Kale just described, that's the potential for what can go wrong. That's a prime example of what shouldn't happen. And we're just asking you to take a look at that and make sure it doesn't continue. This is not you being punished. This is like a non-compete clause. This is about ethics, transparency, and if you guys can't see that, we need to find some new people that can. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to come forward and speak? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Public hearing is now closed. Do you have any items to add?
Nope. Do you have any questions?
All right, I think you went through all these. Any comments, motions? Councilmember Zuniga.
Yeah, I know that we did discuss that one, the employment one, a lot last time. But, you know, and my thoughts were just that I think that we should have a 6-month or 1-year holding period. That's my opinion. I'd like to recommend bringing that one back for consideration on the list. So I need to take a vote for that?
You could make a motion to bring that back. Because it wasn't posted, I would recommend bringing that back on a separate date.
I can do that, or if y'all want to have a discussion about it, I'd like to, if anybody had any more thoughts on that.
I had some thoughts on it because that was actually my recommendation. Again, it was not so much being that we couldn't work for the city for 2 years. It was just given the opportunity to apply within 1 year after council. I think there are other entities such as county and other companies that do some kind of the same kind of model to where once you leave a job or you retire, you have up to maybe 90 days, or I think it's up to 6 months before you can apply for a position back into the same department or agency and so forth. I really don't see a problem with that because we have yearly positions that are open. So if there was anything that would be open that let's say myself, would be interested in, I would just wait for the year to go by and apply for it. It's not so much working, getting the job, because I may not be qualified, for the position. But I think it just would be fair to show for future council members that that this would be an option for all of us to have, to basically break that stigma of that ethic barrier that we always have within, and just give the opportunity for other people on that end. So with that, Mr. Zuniga, like I said, I know we were going with 2 years. That's what the Charter Commission recommended, 2 years before you even to apply or to get a job with the city. I was looking at it more of 1 year to actually apply for a position, because again, you could not get hired on that end versus not doing it all. So.
Yeah, I'd also like just to say, I think, all of us would be qualified for a position here in the city. I mean, I'm not saying that we're not, but I'm just saying that there should be maybe, in my view, a 6-month period after leaving office. But like I said, I know how qualified sometimes council members, they learn a lot, they get a lot of inside information. So, they put the time in to serve. I don't want to punish people indefinitely, but I'm just saying that there should be some sort of waiting period, just to make sure that, we check all the boxes.
We got to get away from this word punish. We're not punishing anybody. We're just making it right. We're just making it an even playing field. That's all it is, in my opinion, on that end. We're not saying shame on you for serving for so many years on the council and you're not able to work for the city. It's just being fair in that sense, because we have more insight of what's going on, and we might have a bigger advantage of somebody coming in, and that may be what the issue is. But I just feel that if we done our time on council, we've served it, and if we are interested in applying for the city a position, just give it 1 year to apply and then go from there. But I know that the rest of council may not look at it that way, but that's just my feedback.
Y'all took a vote on this one at the workshop when we went through everything. So is there anybody who voted?
They didn't actually vote, Mayor. It was just a discussion.
It was just a discussion. Oh, okay. Well, does anybody else want to discuss it further?
So real quick, really thinking about this one, and I guess for me, I've got no plans of ever working for the city. I can tell you that right now. So I can discuss this pretty freely. One of the things I think about is, when we're looking at this, it probably gives you less of an advantage being on the council. Does the city manager really want you to work for him? I mean, that probably would put him in an odd place, put you in an odd place. It'd be kind of, it'd kind of be weird. It's like a reversal, right? And would this council member now be a good employee, right? Because of that reason. I look at that sometimes, and I do look at this as a role of service, right? What we're doing here. I guess my concern was, I started thinking about the boards and commissions. If we do it now, are we going to take this over to the boards and commissions, say people that are volunteering in our boards and commissions are now going to be punished because they serve the city? I mean, it's something I think about, but if we're wanting to bring this back and have a discussion, look, I'm good with having a time period between. I just don't want it to feel like we're punishing someone for serving. That's my biggest thing. If we're going to give a time, somebody has to wait, I'm good with that. The conversation seemed like we were punishing people for wanting to serve their city, and I just don't want it to go to that conversation. And the word punishment, I use it because it seems like you are. I mean, I'm not going to work for the city, like I told you. I have no plans on working for the city, but after I leave council. But one of the things I think about is the boards and commissions everywhere else, because once you start putting in these procedures, where does it stop, right? Where do we stop? We're seeing that right now at the national level. Where does it stop, right? There's a lot of things going on that they might look good in the beginning, but then where do they stop? I mean, it just doesn't seem like there's a stop to it, right? Until it affects everybody in their lives. So I'm good with bringing it back if y'all want to have more discussion on this. And like I tell you, I'm not opposed on waiting on times for you to work on the city, but I just worry about it punishing people. That's my biggest thing. People wanting to serve.
Councilmember McKinney.
I was pretty vocal, the last time. My opinion really hasn't changed. I will say that if we are going to consider a gap in between, it needs to be at least 1 year. That way you're not voting on the budget that you're also trying to apply within.
That's exactly it, And again, it's just giving us that leeway to where you don't have that conflict of interest. It's out of the way. Like I said, it's not so much that we're not punishing anybody. We're just saying that let's all follow the rule of what the charter is saying. Well, they're actually recommending, again, bring it back, they're recommending 2 years before you can even do anything. And the conversation with the dice before is that we're punishing people. I think here, I was making a compromise to say, just to give it to where we just give it 1 year, because you're right, Councilman McKinney. We vote on these budgets every year, and let's say my term is up in November, but then again, I knew of a position or I knew something was coming up, then I can apply right off the bat, or just give it a year and make it an even playing field on that end. So, I mean, it's not saying that you could not apply, we're just giving it 1 year, or 11 months, or however we want to look at it, up to 1 year before you can even just apply. So I would recommend, just have that recommendation.
Michael, your comments of making it an even playing field, to me, insinuates that it's uneven as it currently is constructed. And I don't believe that to be true. And I don't think that we have any evidence other than a couple of residents who I think have an axe to grind on this topic are coming forward and putting pressure on various people, whether it's speaking to the Ethics Commission or speaking in front of us. Because you're saying that it's going to level the playing field by creating a restriction. And if that's what you think levels the playing field, then your current belief is that it's not level now.
Okay, well, isn't it the same thing what we're doing with the terms of council? To basically make it equally to where, we don't have repetitive terms on that end? I'm just looking at it from the aspect of once we are done with our service, if we are wanting to decide to become now an official employee, in that sense, to just give it that 1 year. Again, 2 years versus nothing versus just one. So I'm going in between on that end. And I'm just looking at it from that optics, looking at future councils down the road. To where we don't have to run into these not only run into these problems again, but there are other companies and other agencies that have these types of processes. They have these types of limitations and regulations in place. And so we're just having this discussion, and I appreciate your comment, Mayor Pro Tem. I just want us to be able to think thoroughly on this to see if this is something that we should put on the charter for the people to decide. And if they say no, then we don't do it. And it fails, it fails.
Well, Michael, I think if that's your belief right now, then we need to be having a different conversation by looking at.
Hang on 1 second. We're not going to go back and forth anymore until other people have had a chance to speak who want to speak. So if there are other people who want to speak first.
I just had a quick point of clarity on Councilmember Tobias's comments. The term limits were also not included in this recommendation after the discussion on the 24th.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other discussion on it? We just need to take a vote and move on. I will say for myself, I'll be transparent. I thought the 2-year rule applied similarly to council members in terms of being able to apply for jobs. And so I didn't even realize that that was the situation until the employee that was mentioned multiple times in great detail with more information than I even knew was brought up. So for me, it seems that this is a reaction to that decision. And so I think, if we wanted to have policies about, making sure that the city manager or the city council is not directly involved. My understanding is that the city manager was not involved The chief of police was not involved. A panel was put together, applications were presented. It was a group decision made by staff. And so is that an inappropriate thing that happened? I don't think that there's any way that you can make that argument other than by construing, an email chain. So I just, I'm not going to support making a decision that is trying to be reactive based on a process that, as far as I can tell, was extremely transparent, competitive, and fair, based on qualifications and impressions in an interview.
I will say it's probably a one-off, and the likelihood of this playing out
Right.
again is
Statistically,
low.
yes, and I could elaborate. There have been, over the years, there have been many people who have scrutinized council members' choices after they leave the dais. I've taken votes on hundreds of contracts with hundreds of businesses. And if I leave and have employment by any of them, who I voted on over the last some number of years, you can be certain that there will be scrutiny on that. There have been council members who have left the dais, who have gone to work for employees that provide services, and then immediately voted on those services after the council member left, and then the vote took place. Very much transactional from the terms of perspective. So really, at the end of the day, I understand the concerns, but I'm just not going to take a vote to react based on something that happened 2 years ago, as far as I could tell, was transparent and above board.
And to make it clear, Mayor Pro Tem, I'm not being approached by anything. These are just my own thoughts. And I know a lot of you people feel that there's a specific group out there that influences council. Nobody approached me about this because when I'm going through a lot of my personal employment opportunities and I look at the times when I'm eligible to retire from where my location is, those are some of the stipulations that we have on that end. As far as a time limit before we could apply to come back to the agency we're at. So I'm just kind of going off of that, but it has nothing to do with any rhetoric or social media postings or anything like that. If that was the case, I would have went 100% with what is being recommended from the commission. I'm looking at it from just a sense of compromise. But again, it's going to be a majority vote on the end anyway.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item 35 as stated.
Second.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Councilmember McKinney, that we approve agenda item 35 as stated. Is there a discussion on the motion? Roll call vote.
Zuniga?
No.
Rizzo?
Aye.
Heiser?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Tobias?
Nay.
Mitchell?
Yes. All right, motion carries 5-2. All right, next up is agenda item number 36, consider approval of a resolution finding public convenience and necessity and authorizing use of eminent domain to condemn, if necessary, a .0289 acre public utility easement as described in Exhibit A to the resolution from certain real property requested by Government Employees Federal Credit Union for the public use and purpose of construction of public drainage and utility infrastructure improvements for the Button Creek Road Improvement Project. This is a roll call vote item.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Amber Schmeitz, Assistant City Manager for the record. We have 6 of these PCNs for you, so I will make one presentation now, and then I will be very brief on the remaining 5. This one is for a PCN on Button Creek Road. In November of 2022, the City of Kyle voters approved Proposition A, a road bond for 8 transportation projects across Kyle, totaling 10.3 total miles of new location, reconstruction, and widening projects to improve the city's transportation network. This project will improve Button Creek Road from Lehman Road to Porter Cove, Alignment and design features were approved by the City Council in January of 2024. A task order to BGE to complete preliminary design was approved in March of 2023. And the task order to BGE to complete final design was approved in April of 2024. And those are the project limits. To acquire the right-of-way and the easements needed for the roadway, survey was completed and appraisal was performed on the needed tract. Our property interests here include a public utility easement of 0.0289 acres. Improvements within the right-of-way and easement include drainage and utility infrastructure. Public convenience and necessity refers to the council determining whether the city's acquisition of an interest in a specific piece of real property, such as an easement or fee simple title, is necessary to effectuate a particular public use for the public's convenience and necessity. In this situation, the PCN finds that the Button Creek Road project is necessary and required to promote the public health, safety, and welfare of the community, and that the acquisition of the identified property is required to complete the project. When the property owner and the city are unable to reach a negotiated agreement, the PCN authorizes the city to initiate eminent domain proceedings if necessary to acquire the needed property. And we ask that you approve the resolution.
All right, does anybody have any questions on this item? All right, I move that the City of Kyle authorize the use of the power of eminent domain to acquire public utility easement over .0289 acres of land from property owned by Government Employees Federal Credit Union as described in Agenda Item 36 for the public use of constructing and operating public drainage and utility infrastructure improvements for the Button Creek Road Improvement Project.
Second.
All right, motion by the mayor, second by Councilmember Harris, that we approve Agenda Item 36. Is there discussion on the motion? Roll call vote.
Heiser,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Zuniga,
Yes.
Rizzo,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
yes, and Tobias.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, motion carries 7-0. Next up, Agenda Item 37. Consider approval of a resolution funding public convenience and necessity and authorizing the use of eminent domain to condemn, if necessary, a .089 acre parcel of land in fee simple, a .297 acre public utility easement, and a temporary grading easement over a .005 acre parcel of land as described in Exhibits A, A1, and A2 of the resolution from certain real property owned by 360 Old Stagecoach Retail LLC for the public use and purpose of construction of public roadway, drainage, and utility infrastructure improvements for Old Stagecoach North Roadway Improvement Project.
Okay, we're on Old Stagecoach Road with this piece of property that we need. Those are the project limits. Property interests here include fee simple right-of-way of 0.809 acres, a public utility easement of 0.297 acres, and a temporary grading easement of 0.005 acres. And improvements within the right-of-way and easement include roadway reconstruction, drainage, and utility infrastructure. We ask that you approve.
All right, does anybody have any questions?
So this is agenda item 37. Just wanted to make sure that we identify the old Stagecoach historic well that is on the property. We do have an agreement here with the property owner, original property owner, saying that we were going to preserve that well, making sure that we're not encroaching into that area, and making sure we preserve the well is going to be important. So if staff could follow up on that and make sure that we meet out there and measure that out, please.
Yes, sir, we'll bring that back to you.
Thank you.
Councilor Tobias.
Okay, so we're saying it's a historic well, correct? A water well? Okay, sir, are you on the Historic Commission?
I am.
Okay, can we make sure that we follow through with your commission to make sure it is a verified well, so that way we don't have issues with this in the future?
I definitely will. I'll follow up with the Historic Commission, make sure I bring that information back to staff. But this was negotiated on the agreement for the property when it was rezoned.
But if it's going to be an official marker, let's go ahead and make sure we get that documented for future records.
That's a great idea. Thank you, Councilmember.
Any further discussion? Councilmember Zuniga.
Yeah, Amber, does this right-of-way, does this also include, I guess, the Frankie property with the bearing tree?
No, sir, this is not on the Frankie property.
But it is on that same road, isn't it?
It's on the same road, yes, sir.
So that property we're not talking about here?
Correct.
Yeah.
This is not the Frankie property.
Okay. And I agree with Robert. I mean, if we have an old historic well there, I mean, we want to make sure that we do our due diligence and, preserve that as much as possible.
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item 37.
I've got to read it out, sorry. That's
Sorry.
okay. That's okay, no problem. All right, I move that the city of Kyle authorize the use of the power of eminent domain to acquire .809 acres of land in fee simple, a public utility easement over .297 acres, and a temporary grading easement over .005 acres from public property owned by 360 Old Stagecoach Retail LLC is described in agenda item 37 for the public use of constructing and operating public roadway, drainage, and utility infrastructure improvements for the Old Stagecoach Road North Roadway Improvement Project.
Second.
Motion by Mayor, second by Councilmember McKinney. Is there discussion on the motion? Roll call vote.
Tobias,
Yes, ma'am.
Rizzo,
Aye.
Harris,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Zuniga, Heiser.
Yes.
Zuniga,
Zuniga?
Don't, no.
All right, motion carries 6-1. All right, next up is agenda item 38. I move that the city of Kyle authorize the use of the power of eminent domain to acquire .0142 acres of land in fee simple from property owned by Benner Creek Enterprises LLC as described in agenda item 38 for the public use of constructing and operating public roadway improvements for the Kohler's Crossing Roundabout Roadway Improvement Project.
The next four are about the Kohler's Crossing roundabout, so I'll go ahead and go through the project background for you on these four as well. So American Structure Point has completed 90% PS&E and design and is currently under review for comments. Based on the current design of the roundabouts, the following acquisitions are needed for the project. At Cromwell, the intersection total right-of-way acquisition is estimated to be 0.32 acre, 5 parcels. Benner intersection total right-of-way acquisition is 0.56 acre and 4 parcels, and Sanders is 0.43 of an acre and 4 parcels. As you can see, those are shaded are the parcels that we need to acquire, and those are the 3 intersections that we will be improving. Property interests on this one, parcel 5, include fee simple right-of-way, 0.01442 acres. Improvements within the right-of-way include concrete sidewalk, concrete pad, and irrigated grass area. And we ask that you approve the PCN.
All right, any questions on the presentation? All right, I move that the city of Kyle authorize use of the power of eminent domain to acquire .0142 acres of land in fee simple from property owned by Benner Creek Enterprises LLC as described in agenda item 38 for the public use of constructing and operating public roadway improvements for the Kohler's Crossing Roundabout Roadway Improvement Project.
Second.
Motion by Mayor, second by Councilmember Harris that we approve agenda item 38. Is there discussion on the motion? Roll call vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
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 Aye.
All right, motion carries 7-0. Next up is agenda item 39. Consider approval of a resolution finding public convenience and necessity and authorizing use of eminent domain to condemn if necessary .0049 acre parcel of land in fee simple from certain real property owned by ATX Plum Partners ILP for the public use and purpose of construction of public roadway improvements for the Kohler's Crossing Roundabout Roadway Improvement Project at Kohler's Benner intersection. Ms. Schmeitz.
This is for parcel 6. Property interests here include fee simple right-of-way of 0.0049 acres. Improvements within the right-of-way include concrete sidewalk and irrigated landscaping. You can see it shaded in green on this picture. And we ask that you approve the resolution.
All right, any discussion on the presentation? All right, I move that the city of Kyle authorize use of the power of eminent domain to acquire .0049 acres of land in fee simple from property owned by ATX Plum Partners ILP as described in agenda items 39 for the public use and construction of operating public roadway improvements for the Kohler's Crossing Roundabout Roadway Improvement Project.
Second.
All right, motion by Mayor, second by Councilmember Harris. There's discussion on the motion. Roll call vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye. Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, motion carries 7-0. All right, next up is agenda item number 40, consider approval of a resolution finding public convenience and necessity and authorizing use of eminent domain to condemn, if necessary, a .0589 acre parcel of land in fee simple as described in Exhibit A to the resolution from certain real property owned by Baylor Scott and White Health for the public use and purpose of construction of public roadway improvements for the Kohlers Crossing Roundabout Roadway Improvement Project at Kohlers Cromwell Drive intersection.
This is for parcel number 8. Property interests here include fee simple right-of-way of 0.0589 acres shaded in green on this picture. Improvements within the right-of-way will include a concrete sidewalk, irrigated sod, and landscaping tree. And we ask that you approve the resolution.
All right, any discussion? I move that the City of Kyle authorize the use of the power of eminent domain to acquire .0589 acres of land in fee simple from property owned by Baylor Scott and White Health as described in agenda item 40 for the public use of constructing and operating public roadway improvements for the Kohlers Crossing Roundabout Roadway Improvement Project.
Second.
All right, motion by Mayor, second by Councilmember Harris that we approve agenda item 40. Is there discussion on the motion? Roll call vote.
Rizzo.
Aye.
Mitchell.
Yes.
Zuniga.
Aye.
Heiser.
Yes.
Tobias.
Yes, ma'am.
McKinney.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
All right, motion carries 7-0. One more to go. Consider approval, agenda item 41, consider approval of a resolution finding public convenience and necessity and authorizing use of eminent domain to condemn, if necessary, a .0850 acre parcel of land in fee simple as described in Exhibit A to the resolution from certain real property owned by PC3 Partners LP for the public use and purpose of construction of public roadway improvements for the Kohlers Crossing Roundabout Roadway Improvement Project at Kohlers and Cromwell Drive intersections.
This is for parcel number 11 on this project. Property interests here include fee simple right-of-way of 0.0850 acres, and you can see it shaded in green on this picture. And improvements within the right-of-way here include concrete paving, and we ask that you approve the resolution.
All right, any discussion on the item? I move that the City of Kyle authorize the use of the power of eminent domain to acquire .0850 acres of land in fee simple from property owned by PC3 Partners LP, as described in agenda item 41, for the public use of constructing and operating public roadway improvements for the Kohlers Crossing Roundabout Roadway Improvement Project.
Second.
All right, motion by the Mayor, seconded by Councilmember Harris. There's discussion on the motion. Roll call vote.
McKinney.
Yes.
Heiser.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Mitchell.
Yes.
Rizzo.
Aye.
Zuniga.
Aye.
Tobias.
All right, motion carries 7-0. All right, next up is agenda item number 42. Consider approval of a resolution approving the program year 2025 annual action plan for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Community Development Block Grant Program, which outlines the city's priority projects for the anticipated $277,869 in PY 2025 funding. And here we are again.
Here we are again. Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is our annual action plan for CDBG for our program year of next year. The city is identified as an entitlement city with the Housing and Urban Development, and this funding is given to us through the Community Development Grant Program for CDBG. And with that, we're allocated funding on a yearly basis that can change based on how many residents you have within that program. The reason why it matters is we have to create an annual action plan for how we're going to utilize those funds. We've done a public hearing at the Planning and Zoning Commission. We did another one tonight, and we work with our community members and organizations to identify potential program needs and funding priorities. So for this next program year of 2025, the city has been allocated $277,869. And these funds really can be used from anything for sidewalks and walking trails to some road construction. It has to be spent in eligible areas, but sewer line and drinking line and water line improvements are all things that can be supported by this. In accordance with the HUD guidelines for our action plan, we've done the comment period. Again, we had that first meeting in June of 24. At our June of June 24th at the Planning and Zoning Commission, and then we have done subsequent notification for the public hearing that was done tonight. And with that, we are looking at adopting this annual action plan to really look at our consolidated plan. The top priorities that we had with our consolidated plan are outlined here. They looked at roads, sidewalks, roads, infrastructure improvements, both water and wastewater, and improving street lighting and parks and playgrounds. And right now, we have identified for the program year of next year, looking at doing the wastewater line at the Quail Ridge subdivision, which would help out with the low moderate income neighborhood, and a portion of the funds that are needed for this project could come from the CDB eligible funding. And again, this is the subdivision of Quail Ridge. So with that, we're asking council to look at approving the annual action plan, or approving it with some modifications, or denying it. And if you approve, we will then submit it for compliance with HUD for the CDBG program.
All right, does anybody have any comments? It's nice to see that funding coming in like this. You know, it wasn't too many years ago that we were not eligible for these funds because we didn't pass the 50,000 threshold population-wise. So that is good. I will say that, you know, is it just based on population?
That's one of the factors of it, yes. And then how much low to moderate income you have within your city for the eligible areas is where you need to spend the money. But it's a formula that HUD has, and then they let you know what you're going to get every year.
Okay, so is there any way that we can do, is there any kind of advocacy that we can pursue to help, you know, get those numbers, or is it, like you say, they just tell us?
It's formulaic.
It's very formulaic.
Okay,
yes.
all right. I just wanted to make sure because, and what you're saying makes sense because San Marcos gets like, you know, 8 times this amount, some very large number. I noticed it was on their agenda the other day, so I was just kind of curious about that, but that makes sense. All right, any discussion? Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, motion by Mayor, second by Mayor Pro Tem that we approve agenda item 42. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries 7-0. Next up, agenda item 43. This item has a public hearing. Consider approval of a resolution to rename South Goforth Road for existing roadway and planned extensions from Yarrington Road, FM 110 to High Road. Ms. McCollum.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. This following item is really kind of hopefully the accumulation of what our road renaming that we've looked at. Kind of the summary of this project is most recently back in June, you recommended some bios and asked staff to survey citizens. We have been discussing kind of this road renaming since February of this year. And again, the road renaming recommendations were for Paula Alvarez Parkway, Chavo Pastrano Senior Parkway, and Becky Salvera Parkway. We ran a contest from June 25th to July 10th. Chavo Pastrano Senior Parkway was selected as the winner of that contest. But as with all things with road renaming, it does require a public hearing. It needs to be approved by a resolution. And you do have the option of an opportunity to select any name you would like to choose for that road renaming. And again, we do recommend that road be renamed to prevent any future and conflicts of the other Goforths that we have within the county, which there's multiples.
All right, if there are no objections, I'm going to open the public hearing now. Seeing none, the public hearing is now open. Is there anyone who wishes to come forward and speak on this item? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Public hearing is now closed. Does anybody have any comments that they want to make? Councilman Rizzo.
Yeah, I just want to say I was really glad to see the community come out and vote on this. It looks like we had some really good applicants for renaming the road, people that have served our community. That's the important thing. We picked people that had served on the dais for a long time, and we were really hoping that we could give them some recognition. So I think this is a great way of doing it. I'm fully thank the residents who came out and took their time to come out and vote, and I'm good with going with the recommendation is.
Any other discussion? Councilor McKinney.
Yeah, I know former Councilmember Pastrana wanted to be here. He was unfortunately out of town tonight. I just want to say, we really are blessed to have, 3 really good former, members of this dais that we had to choose from. I mean, there was a lot of things that they had done for the community throughout their tenure, and I learned a lot. I can say that. Even after knowing some of them personally. It really was great to get a little bit of a history lesson, to see how, the community came together and voted. I just, it was a feel-good moment.
Any other discussion? Yeah, I mean, it's not possible for anyone to serve 19 years or 17 years again, as has been noted. We've just, we have term limits now, but back then, there was that wasn't the belief, and so some folks could serve for longer. But even still, there were only a few that were able to endure and make those meetings year after 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 year. And so, to your point, former Councilmember Pastrana served for a very long time. And just as I think everyone on this dais knows, the amount of time and sacrifice that's required to come to meetings, to prepare for meetings, to take the, various community, feedback and be able to process that, and the pressure of the job to do that for your community for all those years is commendable. And then obviously, so that was Councilmember Silvera and former Councilmember Pastrana, but also Paula Alvarez had a also long tenured history and additional bona fides that, where she ended up having to serve as the de facto mayor for a period of time in the absence of untimely resignation. And so that certainly is important as well. And what I would just say is this won't be the last thing we name, as you all know.
Yeah.
So there are going to be future opportunities to honor them, and I certainly would look for opportunities to support that, even if I'm not here. But I hope that the council will consider these names moving forward. So, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Chevo Pastrana Senior Parkway as the official road selection for agenda item 43.
Second.
All right, motion by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Councilmember McKinney, that we approve agenda item 43 with a selection of the name Chevo Pastrana Senior Parkway. Is there discussion on that motion? Councilmember Zuniga.
Yeah, I'll just echo, these were all great selections, great leaders, people who served their community, and, good examples for us. And yeah, I wish we had more opportunities, hopefully moving forward, to find more people, who have served with that kind of resume, so that we could, give them some credit. And I'm also looking forward to seeing the name finally changed from Goforth to Pastrana Senior, because, it's very confusing, right? I think I was one of the ones who said, hey, this is confusing. We don't know what part of Goforth we're talking about.
I do want to finish off with saying that Mr. Pastrana was still serving in many capacities around the parish there at St. Anthony's. He's currently the Grand Knight there. He's also, volunteers with the funeral ministry, so still serving. We used to, Mr. Pastrana, in the time when he was serving on council, also worked for PEC. He was a reserve sheriff's deputy, and he used to bring around the snow cone truck to us. So he had a lot of jobs. We used to say he had all the jobs in Kyle. So once he retired, I think a lot of job opportunities opened up. But no, he was very involved in the community, and I think this was a great choice. So.
Yeah, it seemed like he knew a lot of us just by name, right? He always knew who it was.
Oh, yeah, when he'd come by with the truck, so yeah, it was great.
Yeah, so. Good
Yeah.
person.
So just a point of clarification on the road, the majority of the road is not yet developed, correct? Because it's in the 2024 Hays County bond that's currently under appeal. But there is a section of it that will be renamed?
Correct. It'll be kind of starting from Yarrington, which is kind of the most southern section of the roadway, the existing roadway there.
Okay, so the new section that goes behind Tesla.
Alliance,
Yes.
Alliance.
Yeah, Alliance
Yeah.
project essentially. So
Correct.
that's a brand-new road, so it will get a sign.
Yes,
It-
there's, I think, 2 or 3 street signs that need to be changed, and then when the next segment gets built behind kind of the Quail Ridge subdivision that hooks up with the existing roundabout and the
Heritage.
new subdivision there, yeah. that'll
Okay,
be
so
kind of the next
I would think that the council would want to, and that it would honor Mr. Pastrano for us to have some kind of ceremony when we do that. So is that the intention? Do you have any kind of idea about when that might take place? And I understand you may not have a specific date, but.
We haven't discussed that, but I do think that'd be appropriate. So
Yeah.
we'll come up with a plan for you, get some dates, and check with Mr. Pastrano and see when he can be available for that.
Okay. Well, I'm sure that once a selection is made and it's official, then there's kind of some eager anticipation there. So I'd love to see that happen probably sooner rather than later, just as at first convenient for him and the family, as well as staff and, time to order signs and all that. All right, that's funny. All right, any other discussion?
I won't go there.
All
No
right.
comment.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. All right, motion carries 7-0. I might ask for an extra sign there. All right, agenda item number 44. Consider a resolution approving a Chapter 380 grant agreement with Bloodworth Barbecue for economic development incentives and a grant amount not to exceed $16,370 for the improvements to the exterior of a downtown restaurant building. Ms. Vargas.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Victoria Vargas, Director of Economic Development. I'm here to present to you a Chapter 380 agreement for Project Worth It, is how we codenamed it, and that is Bloodworth Barbecue. The owners are here. Letitia and Thomas Bloodworth are here in the audience to answer any questions, but really excited to present this. So the location is here in downtown Kyle, 208 West Center Street. That is located just across from the Mary Kyle Hartson Park. The Bloodworths were previously located in a property that the city has acquired, so they have moved out to make way for city's redevelopment efforts, and they found their home here at 208 West Center Street. So I know they've had their eye on this property for quite some time, so I'm glad it finally worked out for them. Here's a photo of Thomas and Letitia in front of their new building. And so there's lots of benefits for them relocating here. There's interior renovations that they've done. Their new location opened up this past weekend. They expect a significant increase in sales with their indoor and outdoor patio seating, which they did not have at their previous location. And they will also have a small patio stage for low-intensity live music. And they also plan an outdoor bar. This is in an effort to support downtown redevelopment. This is our goal, to create a vibrant, active district with a mix of thriving businesses. Thomas and Letitia are truly a mom and pop business, and they're doing wonderful, very successful in downtown Kyle. This building has been vacant since April of 2022, so happy to see that activation. They've already put about $20,000 of their own investment into the interior renovations, and they're still looking at doing another $22,000 of renovations to the exterior, which is where the downtown revitalization grant comes to play. This is the current conditions of the building. So with this, here are some of their planned improvements to make that building look a lot better for visitors to Kyle. So they want to do some sand down of the loose paint on the doors, the window trim, repaint the entire building, stain the cedar posts, cover the patio out front. They want to install an ADA compliant ramp and gate, rebuild all the fencing around the perimeter. And when they do this, that will extend towards the back of the property, which will increase their outdoor seating and make room for that small stage that they want to have there. They'll install gutters, landscape, flower beds, and new lighting. So all of this is approximately a total of $22,740 in improvements. So looking at a Chapter 380 grant with the Bloodworths, would be the Downtown Revitalization Grant, which is currently a 50% matching grant. So the reimbursement to the Bloodworths would be not to exceed $11,370. And we're also asking for council to consider progress pay. So this is a draw for completion of verified improvements. So if they make some improvements, then they can present those costs and the city can verify completion, and then we can reimburse them 50% of that so that they can have some money coming in and then continue on with all the improvements until they're complete. They hope to have these done well within the year. We're also looking at application fee incentive as well. This would be not to exceed $5,000. So for the exterior improvements, they'll have approximately 5 permits and plan reviews. And so we're looking at waiving some of those fees for them. And then we're also asking for a special consideration for fees that were associated with their final inspection that happened this past week to get them open, and that was $725. So your options are to approve the Chapter 380 terms as presented, approve with any modifications, and do not approve, and staff recommends option 1. And the Bloodworths are here if you want to ask them any questions or if you want to just say hi to them.
All right, thank you. Does anybody have any comments? Councilmember Rizzo.
Yeah, I definitely would like to talk to him real quick. So I want to start off by saying thank you for wanting to be in our historic downtown. It's really important. If you notice, there's not a lot of life there. So every little bit of incentive that we have to bring people to downtown is something I really welcome. I'm really excited y'all are there. I'm glad you're moving into the brick and mortar. That building, when it went vacant, was really sad. Boarded up, right? I just hate to see things boarded up in our historic downtown. So to see you there and to be thriving, that's really great. I want to say thank you for considering Kyle to open up your business. The only thing I would love to see is that after we approve this, that if you're really successful, you open up more days, because I'd love to see more days, more business days here in downtown Kyle, bringing families here. My vision of downtown Kyle is to bring families back here. The park downtown was our first step as a council to bring families back to the historic downtown, and now we want to continue that, and hopefully your business will do that as well. It already has, but I'd love to see it at a bigger scale and hopefully more days as well. And with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve. You'll still have discussion. Sorry. I'll wait on my motion.
I just wanted to, Councilmember Rizzo mentioned being open more days, and I echo that. I've eaten at your establishment. I love the barbecue, and I'd love to see you guys open more. What do you think, as you look in the future, what kind of checkpoints are you looking to hit, do you need to hit in order to open up for more days of the week?
If we see that there's a demand for it, then we're thinking of adding a Thursday for sure. But at the moment, we already work 6 days a week with just being open 3 days. So it's a little hard.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I'm the only pit master, but maybe we can start adding some more days.
Okay, that's the question I had.
Councilor Tobias.
Yes, that makes a good point. Years ago, I saw a post when we were opening it, when Denny's and all these restaurants were opening up. On social media, everybody was just hating on Kyle that we don't support small businesses. We're always going with the big chains, so. Well, I wanted to go out and prove them wrong. So I got my kids, we got in the car, and said, let's go look for a small business or a small town restaurant. Everywhere we went, it was closed. We went on Sunday. I drove around Sunday. Okay, it's a Sunday. It's a family day. Everywhere I went, every single small business was closed that day. So they make a good point, because that was my question for you. What are going to be your hours? Because what's coming up soon? The holidays. That place downtown starts rocking and rolling starting October. And once December comes, it's just tons of people out there. And one of the things, going out to the Christmas tree and seeing that everything was closed as well. And I said, that would be a perfect opportunity for a small business to be open 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. But then again, I understand you have a life, you have family, I'm sure you got children and all that, so you got to learn to balance that. But that just brings up the sentiment to where if we want to make our downtown successful, Please consider some of the hours that some residents would have. If you feel that the demand is there, if you try it, maybe a Sunday afternoon after church, you never know. You might be able to balance that out to where maybe you're off during the week, but you'll be able to balance out weekends and so forth and hours.
We are open on Sundays. We're literally the only thing open on Sundays.
Yeah, okay,
It's a
well, good. Well, that's good. So that's good. Well, thank you very much and wish you the best and great success.
Thank you.
Councilmember Zuniga.
Yeah, also like to say thank you for hanging in there. I know that you've met some challenges in that location, and like you said, Sunday's your busiest day, but we appreciate it. The people who stop by in the community, we see your posts, you know, that you're working hard, you're trying to make it happen, and, you know, I'm just glad that we're able to help support you with this small business incentive. I also do appreciate you bringing in some, like, music in there.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's gonna work great for you. I'm just like, God, how much seating can he have there? Because I wish we could have much more, because I know that you're going to fill up.
Yeah.
So what is the seating, you know, estimated?
It's right around 50, but we've also got the outdoor dining as well.
Right.
The goal is to turn that outdoor dining area into a really fun area,
Yeah.
outdoor bar.
family.
Games.
But I'm sure you
Live
appreciate
music.
the air conditioning you'll have now.
Oh, yeah, yeah, for sure.
So-
I tend to lose 20 pounds in the summer while I'm cooking.
Well, thank you, both of y'all, for hanging in there, because we really want to see y'all thrive.
Councilmember Rizzo.
So, talking about music, I'm glad he brought that up. I was going to bring that up. I really like to see acoustic shows. It's something we don't have in our city. If you bring something amplified, I'm going to get a lot of phone calls from the neighbors. So please, let's. I definitely will get some phone calls. So an acoustic show out would be great. That's something we're lacking in our city, so that'd be important. And any other discussion?
Motion, go for it.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve it. Option one, please.
Second.
All right, motion by Councilmember Rizzo, seconded by Councilmember McKinney. Is there discussion on the motion? Councilmember Hauser.
Yes, Councilmember Rizzo, would you be willing to amend your motion to increase the total dollar figure of the agreement to $22,740 to match the investment that they've made to the improvements?
I would. I'd love to make that motion, that amendment.
Second that.
All right, so said motion to amend and to increase, and then we'll get a second.
$22,000, yeah.
$22,740. Is that, yeah?
Who is the second, original second? That's amenable to you? All right,
I
so.
would recommend adding to the resolution that council is basically waiving the policy on the downtown revitalization grant to allow for the higher incentive in this situation. So we'll just add that language to the resolution.
You got it?
You want to have him make another amendment to it?
If we can just include that in the amendment,
All right.
that it's a waiver.
All right, I'll restate so that we're gonna just call it an original motion. Original motion by Councilmember Rizzo is to approve the agenda item, but to increase it to the total amount of the investment, and by doing so, waive the downtown revitalization grant program requirements. Is there discussion on that motion? So I will say that a couple things. Number one, I definitely agree on the hours, and and this is your challenge too, because it takes a certain amount of foot traffic and people to be in a downtown environment, which we don't have any because no one's open. So it's chicken and it's egg. You know, how do you get to that certain space? And I think probably some part of what precipitated y'all's move was the fact that the city acquired the property that you were operating out of, because you were operating out of a parking lot in front of a pawn shop, which is not the correct use for the downtown to achieve that vision that we are talking about and have talked about since I've been here, of wanting to see Kyle have a thriving downtown. And so for me, it's a no-brainer as well. I fully support the amendment because you're moving from a place that we are going to raise to the ground, and then hopefully establish a program in the future, work with partnerships, private investors as well, to construct a vertical project with more space, more businesses. And when we do that project with that significant amount of multi-million-dollar investment, we're going to put requirements on them, I hope. I won't be here to make that choice, but that's always been what I've thought, is that we would be able to put requirements on them to stay open, and I think that would be good and synergistic for y'all as well. And then in addition, it makes a lot of sense because when Greg Devonshire left Miltz, that was a very, very long time ago at this point. And that building has sat vacant ever since. And so the fact that you're willing to come and work out a deal with the landowner in order to take that space, fill that vacant space, it makes even more sense to me for us to partner with you to make that happen, because you're solving problems for us too by filling up the vacant space that we shouldn't have in our downtown. So those are my comments. I'm very excited to see you come in, and I hope to see you grow. I'm certain that, I think, like you say, the reason that it's difficult for you to stay open is because you don't have enough foot traffic and sales in order to generate the ability to hire more pitmasters and hire more. Like, we talk about small businesses as if the smaller and fewer amount of employees and that you're doing, somehow that's better. But really, small business is about local owned businesses, where the people who live here and operate their stores, and we want to see it flourish. So my goal would be to see you not stay so small for a long time. We have other businesses that started right here downtown, like, for example, La Pop Shop. They weren't, they started with just a trailer just like y'all, and they put together a lot of time and energy, and they invested in downtown, and then they moved to Plum Creek, but they're all over working, but they've been able to hire staff. And so, once you find a good, product and something that people want, I want to see you not stay small. I'd love to see you turn into a franchise, those kind of things, where other people in other towns will say that you're the bad guy because you've expanded so much. As if that's, I don't understand that logic at all. But like, that's my goal and hope for you, is your just ultimate success starting right here in Kyle. So.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? Councilor Harris.
I just want to say how delighted I am that you're doing this. We were hating to have you leave downtown. You've been a great asset, and I know that you will be even a much better asset in your new location. So thank you so much for considering that.
Thank you.
Councilor McKinney.
I've long been a champion of local entrepreneurs, and it's my sincerest hope and expectation that this is a kind of a launch pad for you guys. That you grow and you thrive, and you set an example for other people in the community who are thinking about taking that step.
I do want to just give a word to Victoria and to staff as far as like any future investments and things like that. The program that we put in place, I think, should still. I think it's important that we don't try to set a precedent. This is a unique situation, filling an important vacancy from a, you know what I mean. So, like I would encourage council to, not make what we just did a precedent, because the next group that will come will ask for more. So, just to establish that from the dais, we've said this is a special situation for a unique business. Councilor Harris.
Well, part of the uniqueness is the massive amounts of renovation that they're having to put in, interior and exterior.
Yeah.
So we acknowledge that as well.
Something tells me that it's going to be more. It's always more when you start doing renovation projects. Yeah. When I built my small business, the budget doubled, and the timeline to open tripled. So that's just kind of the way those things go, but you'll get there. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries 7-0. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right, next up, agenda item 45, first reading. Consider approval of an ordinance to restrict parking on Amberwood North and Amberwood South. Mr. Trimble.
Mayor and Council, Mike Trimble, Director of Transportation Public Works, and I'm going to quickly turn it over to Ravali Kosaraju, our Assistant Director, who worked on this item regarding parking restrictions.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Ravali Kosaraju, Assistant Director, Traffic Transportation Management. So I'm here tonight to present on parking restrictions that we're proposing for the Amberwood neighborhood. So just to provide a little bit of project background, this initially came in through the Amberwood HOA to us, requesting some solutions to address a safety issue, particularly on the two streets that you see highlighted there in blue, which are Amberwood North and Amberwood South, which currently are not wide enough to support parking on both sides of the street.
And with
Can
parking
you advance the
activity.
slide? I'm sorry.
Oh.
So we can see it. I think we're not seeing it. You were,
Oh, sorry.
there we go.
go.
Okay.
My apologies.
That's okay.
So, as I was saying, these two streets currently are not wide enough to allow for parking on both sides of the street. But that is kind of the parking activity that is happening out there, especially on these two streets in particular. So in order to address that, we are proposing a no parking zone for the entire length of Amberwood South and Amberwood North. So this is where it gets a little convoluted. So the parking restrictions that we're proposing are on the north side of Amberwood North and on the south side of Amberwood South. This allows for parking still on one side of the street because the road is wide enough. And something else to consider is that if we do restrict parking on both sides, then that may result in a ripple effect of potential speeding because the road is now wide enough to accommodate higher speeds. So we would like to maintain it to the minimum standard so that the road can operate with two-way travel at all times, but still allow for some on-street parking if there is any need that arises. So with that, the options that we're bringing to you today are to approve an ordinance to restrict parking on the north side of Amberwood North and on the south side of Amberwood South. And option 2 would be to not approve the ordinance. And our recommendation tonight is to approve the ordinance to restrict the parking on north side of Amberwood North and on south side of Amberwood South.
I actually have a couple comments and questions, but I wanted to ask them to Diane if you want. Do you mind taking the podium? Stand. Take the stand.
Yeah.
Sorry. So, well, we can just, I think we would love to just talk to you about this problem
Yes.
that we're dealing with and get your advice. So, number one is, do you agree with this as being the best solution? Is this what you think that the community wants? Is this what you think is best, or were you hoping for something different than this?
We were hoping to get no parking on both sides.
Okay, and how come?
Because when you have to remember, prior to that development, it was free-flowing, of course, and because of the parking now, whether it's on both sides or on one side, in the event of emergency vehicle or something that should happen over there, you're going to have parking on that one side, and plus on one side, they will be parking right next door to homes. You know?
So when,
but
can I ask you another question? When before these businesses came in, the Crunch and the Roadhouse, did people park on this street much at all?
No.
Never. So
No.
did you have speeding issues really that were?
Well, look, we've complained about speeding before, but Amberwood has natural speed bumps.
Okay.
They're called manholes that rise.
Okay. So if
and
y'all,
dips in the road.
But if you had to choose, everything in life is a trade-off here. But
Right.
if you had
We
to
would-
choose, you would go no parking on both sides.
Well, we would, but I did offer a solution, like, I think you've brought this up before, Travis, to start, painting the curbs.
100%. That's
you know?
what I would say we should do, because
So
that's an enforcement mechanism.
We're grateful that they worked with us,
Right.
and we want to work with them and be good neighbors and good partners, but, sometimes it really frustrates you because there's stuff that comes with it. You get trash, you get additional noise and things like that. We wanted to contain it. We hoped that it was going to be contained in the development, not to have the parking on the streets. But are we willing to compromise? Sure. But like I sent an email today, maybe we could put some red paint on that side that does have the parking to make sure that because when you come in and out of Crunch, that egress and ingress, if the cars are parked close up to that ingress, that's a blind spot. Okay?
Yeah.
So I think if you use that, whatever that ordinance is, 10 feet from the intersection or whatever, you put red paint, maybe that'll help too. But we are grateful. I told the residents yesterday that this was going to be on tonight's agenda. We're grateful that we're going to have some relief, because right now, the situation that we have without Lupe Tortilla is atrocious.
So my general, and I know the council, and they're going to say this as soon as I'm done saying it. So everybody's going to want to say this, but I feel like Amberwood, normally when a business comes close to a neighborhood, I hear the complaints of how they've been impacted or will be impacted, and normally I don't give that too much thought. I trust the rules and the comp plan, things like that. I do think this was a great development project, but I believe that this project has decreased your quality of life because of the traffic and because of the parking overflow. The developer seems to me underparked this and over-sponsored, projects. And so they are coming in and parking within the Amberwood subdivision. And if you had to choose to go back to the way that it was before versus the way that it is now, and you say yes, and I know you are engaged with them, I'm 100% willing to do no parking on both sides with red curbs and make the problem go back inside, and they have to fix it. That's just my opinion on it. I don't know if y'all have additional thoughts or comments. Councilor Tobias.
Yes. We did have a meeting. Diane Herval met with me and Mr. Langley about the same situation. And we actually had dinner ourselves in that area, and we just saw how it's just ferocious with the traffic there. And so I did recommend, again, as for that area, for the red lines. But my question would be then, Ms. Herval, if we do paint both sides, how much more traffic now will be affected inside the neighborhood? Because it looks like the problem won't go away because of the amount of people that go to Crunch and the traffic there. And I do understand your concern or your frustrations, because I've heard it too before. It's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and you got people that are going in and working out, and they got their loud music on, and they're parking right in the street, or they're parking in the parking lot, and it's disturbing. So I'm wondering, if we do this painting, how much more traffic do you think you would probably have in more parking in the area? Which, it's like we resolve this issue, but what do you think is going to happen if anybody's going to be parking more closer to the swimming pool or around side streets and so forth?
That's my concern, is that they're going to, instead of parking on the side there, they'll start parking in front of those houses.
Well, there's a fix for that too. So, it's what we had to do. We've done it on locks. We did it, with down east, and it's permit-based, it's permit parking. And basically, you give every resident a tag, and they're allowed to park on their own streets. And if they've got someone parking, and if someone comes and parks, tell a resident, call the police. Police call it in, they get towed.
And that brings up, again, because we had the same issue, South Lake Ranch. We have all those.
South Lake Ranch, yes,
South
sir.
Lake Ranch, we have those issues too.
Nope, that one was the students, so you at least have a soft heart here. But I'm very frustrated because I felt like I believed in this project. Their parking lot is heaving and cracking. They went cheap on it. And they're driving just the tenants. It's not Roadhouse's fault. It's not Crunch's fault. They're trusting in Endeavor, a very name brand developer who brings a lot of good projects and has brought good projects to Kyle before. But I just think they did. I think they did Amberwood very dirty, and I think that they made promises to me and to the council and that they did not keep. So I want their problems to be contained within their project as much as we can,
So would you feel comfortable, Ms. Herval, if we did both sides red? If like what Mayor Mitchell's recommending? Do you think it would make make it more safe? Let's go with that. More safer again, especially when those people are coming out. But I'm just wondering if it's going to be a domino effect where other cars, like Mark McKinney would agree with me, that they're going to be parking in front of houses and things like that in the middle of the night, first thing in the morning, because a lot of your traffic, I think it's people that come in and work out like at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and they may not know exactly how far they're up to a curb and so forth, and they'll be walking. So I'm just looking in hindsight as far as how to help with this.
Ideally, we were hoping to get parking, no parking on both sides, but of course, we don't want any of the parking to come into the neighborhood. We've already had to, they were parking at the pool. The pool's right over there. I've had to chase them out. Ideally, we would like to, with some of the things that the staff has recommended and has forced them to do, we would like to see if it works. We're open to and flexible to see if it works. If you guys think that that's going to be a problem, if we put no parking on both sides and we might have parking into the neighborhood, well, that's just not going to fly. But if we have to put no parking on the Amberwood Loop and on the both sides, I'm concerned how popular Lupe Tortilla is. Because you got two popular businesses there, Crunch, well, Texas Roadhouse is pretty popular too.
But y'all like parking yourselves. If you have a guest come over, you don't mind them parking in front of your house, right?
Okay.
Generally?
Generally. But I do, I feel like driveways are for cars, sidewalks are for pedestrians, and roadways should be thoroughways.
Well, garages are for cars.
Okay, well, whatever. And Kyle, they're for storage, but anyway.
Not at the Mitchell home.
So, we want to see if it works.
But I would think that the residents, sorry, go ahead, Rizzo.
Robert.
You're right.
All right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, y'all have been having a lot of back and forth. Just want to get us back in task. So Diane, I think you're good with the staff recommendations, but you did have some concerns on some of the exits, making sure that we get some red striping there, so that way we're not blocking the view. The only concern I have about permit parking, and this is something that's going on throughout the city and actually throughout the state, is that tow trucks are taking advantage of this. They're turning it into a revenue. They're towing people every chance they get, and the prices have gone sky high. The last thing I want is a resident coming in here and saying, my cousin came to visit me and he got towed and it was $500. So he didn't have a permit on his car because he's visiting, right? So we've got to be careful on the permit parking. That scares me because of all the feedback I've been getting from the community on the tow trucks. They feel like they're unregulated. So until we do something about that, I want to be worried. I want to be very savvy of how we do permit parking or where we do it at, because I don't want to give someone a reason. I mean, just in the shopping center there, we had cars being towed that were not permitted to be towed, and we got to make sure we're not going to follow that pattern in the area. And if Diane, if you're good with staff recommendations with the highlights of what you pointed out for the exits as well, I think we could move forward on that.
Yeah, and I don't see any reason why we couldn't come back to this at a later date if these changes didn't end up being as effective as we need them to be to solve this problem. So
Right.
I think that's.
Because I believe Lupe's Tortilla is going to open in probably 2 or 3 weeks. My concern is that I don't want them parking on my landscape. Hopefully they'll stay contained into the development or right there on the street without blocking the view of others. And I think that perhaps if they reach out to maybe the daycare or the convenience store, maybe they can get additional parking over there.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, we actually work at the daycare. It's there.
Do y'all want to come up and just state your name?
Name is Gabriel Duran. I am actually a volunteer at Kyle Bright Beginnings Learning Center.
Okay.
It is a perfect idea for that because it's also deal with the children getting off the bus. The buses are not allowed to turn into our parking lot anymore. They have to stay on the road, so they have to stay on Emerald North.
Is it, where is it? Oh, on the north side?
We're on Emerald North.
Okay.
So coming in from the highway at that new gas station, we're turning in right there. We're right behind that new gas station that just came up. So cars coming in, hauling butt already coming in, going to the gym, in and out. We're getting that traffic already in our parking lots early in the mornings, and our teachers are kind of, what's going on, or the parking is really crazy after 5 o'clock. Our parking lot's full. Our parents can't even pick up their kids. They have to park somewhere else to go pick up their kids to walk further. They're having to park at the gas station to come pick up their kids, where our convenience was having that. And then that red part, the paving on the both sides on Amberwood North is a yes. On the south side, I don't see just one side, but on Amberwood North, I would do both sides painted red because of the school bus.
And you think both sides on South as well is what you want? Or you would rather
Well,
take
if-
it one at a time?
If you paint it red, then the school bus can't park there.
Well, they can drop off.
You can drop off.
Yeah,
You can't
you can
park.
drop off. You just can't park.
Okay.
But school buses don't park.
They'll park to let the kids off. They won't be able to park at all if you paint it red.
Yes, they can.
Yeah, you do it, but it's not legal because it's a red stripe.
You can stop and stand in a no parking section, which is
That's
usually
right.
what
You
school
just,
buses do.
you can't
Can't
put
park.
it in park and get out of the vehicle. That's parking, so. I guess I'm just, maybe I'm wanting to be too hard, and maybe being softer is easy, I want to create the problem internally as much as possible and get it off of any affected, homeowner, so.
I'd like to suggest maybe a compromise solution. Because the issue is that there's way more cars looking for a place to park than we have places available, right? And if we make it so you can't park on either side of the street at all, it's not like they're just going to go away. They're going to find someplace else to park. And I'm
Correct.
afraid that it's going to be in your neighborhood. And
Right.
I don't want to see that.
Right.
If we do no parking on both sides, but from like the back fence along that row of residences there and going east, if it was no parking on both sides from there, that gives you the visibility coming in and coming out
Is that
that
on
you're looking for.
Amberwood North or South?
I'm saying on both.
Okay.
You've
But
got,
see-
you've got that fence line that runs between the residences and
You're saying
the
start
gym.
it there and go that way?
And, between that line and west, maybe allow parking on the north side of Amberwood South and the south side of Amberwood North.
See,
I know,
I think
The only
I'm trying to be as clear as I can.
Yeah, so go with staff recommendation,
I
but
was
then
gonna say,
just add
but
from the
have it-
fence line back on both sides.
Yes.
See,
Mark,
I-
you're just saying to reduce some of it, right? Reduce it down. So only the major blind spot areas and allow some of that parking.
I think, I have no problem with that, but the daycare, because you're gonna have the bus sitting on one side, and then you're gonna have parked cars on the other side. You're only gonna be able to get, and we're about to have school starting. That's gonna make it very cumbersome turning into
Yes.
Amberwood. Is that
Y'all-
north? Yeah,
y'all school
Amberwood
in
North. So, I mean, the compromise maybe is just no parking on Amberwood North and just put Amberwood on Amberwood South. It seems to be the real offenders are the crunch people. So maybe leave no parking on one side of Amberwood South.
I have two
I'm just
questions.
concerned about, now that he brought up the daycare, completely forgot about the daycare, and I do not want anything to happen to a little kid.
No,
Do-
I'll defer to your judgment on that one.
Brian, do we have any sense of when Endeavor is going to be doing the parking lot improvements,
They're doing it now.
doing them now?
Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you. Yes, they've already commenced with the parking construction right now. They're working on several things concurrently, so reconstructing the Texas Roadhouse parking lot, which I understand was constructed by Texas Roadhouse, is the conversation that I've had with them. So that's being reconstructed. There is an open lot behind Frost Bank that is being constructed, as well as that pad site, which I think is on, if I get this right, the northeast side that's shown here in this map. That's also in the process of being worked on, and that will add additional parking. They're looking for opportunities to have employees park off-site at daycare and some of the other spots. They've been looking at some financial agreements with those companies to have folks park there, but they're trying to look at all those things concurrently. We also had some spaces that were marked as towing. People would be towed if they parked at the bank or some other locations in the development. So we've worked to try to get those out of there, so there's more internal parking spaces that are available. But it's several different things we've been working on. I think the other thing that has been brought to our attention is how many the fitness center is really oversubscribed from what anyone had ever expected it to be. There's over 12,000 members of Crunch. It's 20% of the city. It's hard to believe. Very fit city. But there's a lot of members that are there, and that's more than any other Crunch facility that they've ever had. So I think that's part of it. It's just more than they ever possibly expected to come there. And if you look at the parking ratios for this site, they're within those parking ratios. It's just more demand and more cars than I think they had planned for. So they've tried to work with us to remedy all these. It's not something that we think we're quite there yet on, but we're trying all of these things to try to address the problem, and hopefully that will make it better.
All right, the second question is a two-parter. Number one, do we do permit parking anywhere in the city? I don't think we do, but.
Do we do
permit parking anywhere in the city?
Yes, we do. There's some areas that were mentioned here in the subdivisions with some of the specific locations that we were talking about, and I'm trying to remember the name of them, but yes, we had some of those around Lehman High School as one of those. Was that South?
No, not Locks. It was, South Lake Ranch or whatever.
South Lake Ranch?
Yeah,
is that
where
the one?
the Lehman High School essentially is one spot where the students don't want to park because they have to pay to park at the school district, and so they're going and parking in the neighborhoods in front of people's houses so that, number one, they don't have to pay for it, and number two, they can jump the traffic when the bell rings and go out there and beat them and have a straight shot to get out of town. And so we had to, create a permit system in order to stop that. Once we created it, I haven't heard any complaints since it was created.
So they have like stickers on their car that are permits in that area.
Yeah, I mean, you just give the permits out to the residents, give them an extra one or two if they've got someone coming over to make sure that, or have them park in the driveway. But if someone who's not supposed to be there parks, the resident can call in and make a complaint, and the enforcement can come, and you put big signs up everywhere. There's a deterrence element to it as well, to tell the resident or the people who are gonna come into that, project or gonna go into the business that they better not try to park back in the middle of someone's neighborhood at 6 a.m. in the morning or at any time of the day. They got to park on site. So I think it would work, but.
Well, I think what we're trying to do is, here, certainly willing to do anything the council's looking to proceed with, but we're trying a multifaceted approach. The parking that you're seeing here, this item is one of many different strategies that we're trying to address the site. I think once the new lights get in place, some of the employees are parking in other locations, which I don't know the exact numbers, but Texas Roadhouse has a lot of employees. Getting those employees out of those parking lots will help a lot. At some of the peak times, I'm hearing they have more than 100 employees that are there. So that would be a lot of vehicles that could come out of that lot. So hopefully all those things together can work, but if it doesn't, then we can certainly come back and do more. But those are options for you. This is what we believe is a good first step, but we can certainly do more if that's the inclination of the council.
Just real quick, I do, it's not that I don't trust y'all, but I'd love to see something painted out for the bus unloading zone where it says bus unloading, just in that one area by the school, Because if you do the red line and you park a bus there, everybody's gonna think they can park there. They're gonna park in the red lines no matter what. It's like hey, if the bus can park here for a minute, I can park here too. So it'll be that scenario. But if we could do a small section there for bus unloading zone, I'd be, if you'd be amenable to that, Diane, that'd be great.
Well, that's just the traffic engineers and transportation
Mike,
folks
is
to
that
help me
something we could do?
understand that, to see what would be possible. I'm not sure.
And it'd be marked, defined unloading zone, not parking.
Yeah, I mean, we can look into that. I mean, you know, there are loading and unloading zones. We can look at kind of what that looks like. The other thing we could also look at is, you know, parking within particular times of the day. And that could be another thing that we look at where there's no parking certain times of the day, but like, you know, if the daycare needs parking at a certain time or whatever, we could look at like parking at specific times of the day and then no parking outside of that.
Councilmember Harris.
Has any discussion been held about having at least a two-level parking garage there? There's a pad site there that would accommodate that. Crunch is making a profit, huge profit, because they've got so many people coming. I know the Roadhouse, same. It's hard to find parking there, and they're always packed. I think that there should be some shared expense on this, and I think that they need to put in a parking structure.
I'm not entirely sure that the people who live there want a parking structure in their
Well,
backyard.
a two-story one would not be problematic, but it would take care of the parking on their streets and blocking their driveways, and
There are more solutions.
So are we in support of the
Yeah.
staff recommendation here?
Just that's it? No, nothing else? You don't want to add any more, no parking?
Yeah, I thought we were going to do the no parking on Amberwood North.
Well, that's not staff recommendation.
Okay, all right. So do we want south as well?
Well, I really like Councilmember McKinney's idea of just going by that house, essentially, on the backside.
Mark, do you want to make the motion?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item 45, amending that there will be no parking allowed on either side of Amberwood North, and that the south side of Amberwood South and the north side from Amberwood South, from the fence line east, be no parking as well.
Second.
All right, motion by Councilmember McKinney, second by Mayor Pro Tem, that we approve the staff recommendation of no parking on the outsides of the two streets, but then add the inside of Amberwood North, and then the inside of Amberwood South, but only from the fence line behind the residence to the curb. Is there a discussion on that motion?
Yeah, Diane, you're gonna have to be our eyes and ears out there. Let us know if this is working, please.
That's good. It's going red, so that's correct? Y'all will paint it red immediately? That's, all right.
Yeah,
Councilmember Zuniga.
just want to get back to, Dr. Lorley made a good point. I mean, I would like to see if there are any conversations with Endeavor about a two-story parking garage, Brian. Just to see would there's any interest in that. I think that does make sense to fix this long-term.
I've had no conversations with them on that, and I could certainly ask.
Yeah,
It's going to be a very expensive addition, and I think it'd be voluntary on their part if they wanted to try to do it. So
Okay.
I can certainly ask.
Yeah, no, we're,
My only opposition to that is just the residents there, and whether they want it or not.
but it's not, I mean,
It
it
doesn't have to be right
doesn't
against
hurt
it.
us to ask, right, and see if they would consider that kind of structure.
So I do want to push back just a smidge on the idea that Texas Roadhouse is to blame for the parking heaving. I don't understand and haven't had any discussions with Dan, so we can have that discussion at another time. But the exact same thing happened within months of Z Tejas, which was another project that Endeavor oversaw. The exact same thing happened. And so is that the blame for the Z Tejas developer? And then if that is the case, then how are they getting their contractors if not by coordination with Endeavor? So either way, it's just been a major issue. And so I'm expressing frustration over that.
Sure, and I 100% agree with that. That's the conversation I had with the developer in doing this business almost 30 years. I've never seen one parking lot have those kind of issues within 6 months after opening, much less two. And so something's amiss there, but that's what was communicated to me, is that that was constructed by Texas Roadhouse.
Well, that's a convenient thing to say. So anyway, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, motion carries 7-0. Thank you all. All right, next up is agenda item number 46, receive report, hold discussion, provide staff feedback regarding the recommended operating capital budget totaling $603,537,633 proposed for all city funds for fiscal year 25-26, as presented to the City Council during the special called meeting held on July 26, 2025.
Mayor and council, we're going to go through every slide one more time with you this evening. I kid, but we added this on this agenda, and we'll have it on every future agenda until the council considers voting on the budget. It's an opportunity for you to get additional information on the budget proposal. If there's any questions, additional information that you'd like to see, we want to certainly provide that to you. So if you have that conversation with us tonight, things you'd like to see more information on, we're happy to bring it back. And Mr. Mohit may have additional information as well.
So Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, for the record, I'm Pervez Mohit, City's Director of Finance. The only thing I would like to add, what City Manager just shared with you, is that now that the City Manager has officially, formally proposed a recommended budget to City Council, any changes that you would like to make to the proposed budget would have to be in the form of a formal amendment. So you would have to take a motion, make that change, have your roll call vote.
It'll be my last time to hear you say that. You've said that every single year.
Yes, sir.
All right, does anybody have any items they wish to address? You'll have additional time, so it doesn't, you can, but if you've got some, if anybody's got proposals, the one thing I say a lot of times is that it's, it was early on, it was the case that council members would wait until second, they would hold their, what they wanted to do close to the vest, and they would wait until the very last minute of second reading before they tried to make motions and amendments, and that's, I don't think that's the best way to treat your colleagues. It's better to, to be transparent, communicative about any kind of amendments that you wish to make in the budget, and give us time to process it, ask questions, and think. So, anybody have anything they want to add? Councilmember Zuniga.
Yeah, I know that the council has proactively and, really, we've always had some funds for the food bank and the Hays County Women's Shelter. So is that still in this budget? I'd like to continue that. I mean, if council approves, I think those are good services that they're always reaching out and, our residents use as well as, our county. So I don't
Yes.
know what the dollar amounts are.
Yeah, both of those are in. I know in the case of the Women's Center, we had included a line item for $15,000. I think this was funded at $30,000 last year, and I've gotten a new separate request from that organization to continue on with the $30,000. So we'll have that for your consideration in September. We have the flexibility of the budget to accommodate that if that's what you'd like to do. I think it was a 1 year, if I recall correctly, it was a 1 year contract. So we'll need to bring back a new contract for you to consider. And then if you want to add some options to it, we could also have that so we have a future amount that we know what that would be going forward.
So you're saying you didn't keep the $30,000 in the budget?
Right, I've got
this year?
$15,000
You
on
went
the
back to
line item,
15.
but I do have the flexibility of the budget to make that, accommodate that if that's what the council would like to
And
do.
what was the food bank? Because
I don't remember that number
It was
off the top of
15
my
also.
Is that
head.
where, it was about 15?
Well, it was.
I'd like to, continue that.
So, yeah, the food bank was 15,000 last year.
Okay, we can confirm that if I just don't remember off the top of my head. Okay.
Yeah, I was the one that brought it forward, so.
Okay.
It was 15,000. I'd like to continue that as well.
Does anybody else have additional thoughts at this point? Councilor Hauser?
Yeah, I went back to slide 5 of the presentation, the 2025 community survey results, and, a couple of things stood out to me that I want to highlight here, and that is when you look at the areas in which people are most satisfied in our city, police and public safety is number 2, which is a great thing. There's a very small number of people, by the looks of the graph, that are dissatisfied with police and public safety. And if you look at sidewalk maintenance and connectivity, I look at, streets and transportation as something that kind of aligns with sidewalk maintenance and connectivity. I think I would like to see more, when I look at the additional budget that we're looking at with the drone program, the K-9 officer, director of animal services, which I guess before I speak to that, I would need to get more clarity on what, or be reminded what that role, does that have anything to do with the future animal shelter? Okay, so I'll leave that alone. But just looking at the 153, so just, like $280,000 that we're looking at with between drone safety and K-9 officers. I'd like to see that that money allocated to trying to rebuild our sidewalks. If you think of what, where crime takes place, it's, I think there's a correlation with, a lack of community feeling, and there's no better way to create sense of community is to create more connectivity within our neighborhoods. And so I'd really like to see that money allocated to programs, to a program that, our sidewalk program in the upcoming budget. I think that we've, just speaking to the drone program that, came up a couple weeks ago or a couple meetings ago, I don't want to see us investing more money into a program where we don't have an established policy or necessarily a plan that's fully baked to achieve a policy that would make sure that any of the information collected through these programs or using drone technology is something that is completely safe from third parties using that data for reasons that we would not approve. And many of us have spoken to the need for policy around data collection and protecting the information of our residents, whether it's license plate readers or drone programs. I love the idea of having a drone take off from the top of this public safety center, but there's things on the back end that I'm really not yet comfortable with, and until we have a policy that speaks to some of the concerns that we all shared a couple of meetings ago, I would rather hold off on allocating money to invest in something that is, we've all acknowledged that we'd like to see more protections around. So it's just adding more money to something that, we're not done talking about.
I would love to see the K-9 unit funds be allocated to, areas, but the drone program is not surveillance in any measure. It's the same format as the body cameras. It's literally eyes in the sky, just like it's probably more transparent than anything we can do because it puts a bird's eye view that is being recorded for us. It's not, the license plate readers are data collection. It is taking information, building it into a database that can be sold and farmed out for a variety of reasons. The drone camera is the fastest way to get eyes on a scene in terms of a camera that I've ever really heard of. It's probably the most phenomenal plan, and I can tell you, we had a horrific scene in 2015 in front of my dealership that I happened to catch on camera. And it was very dark, but there was a vehicle that got clipped by a wrong-way vehicle and was sitting there for 2 minutes upside down before it got T-boned. And all 5 people, including children, because of that, died. And had the officer been able to get there a smidge faster, those lives would have been saved. The reason that he wasn't able to get there is because he got a call, but he didn't know where it was. And he didn't know which exit to take, and so he had to go and loop back, essentially. And had that drone been able to be deployed from the Public Safety Center, it's 5 lives it could have saved just by getting eyes there faster. And then again, it's a transparency thing because it puts the entire scene under video recording which again, this is a left-wing liberal demand item, the body cams. So we have to separate these things. The data collection from license plate readers being used and sold in ways that we don't want to third parties is not the same as the police's use of video recording in the event of a response to a scene. It's just not the same. So there's no AI collection that's going there.
From my understanding, that information isn't going, it's not like a camera that's up on the top of this building where it's a closed circuit loop where only we are retaining that information. From my understanding, it is, and I don't think that a vendor has been selected, but from everything that I've seen and knowing that we already work with Flock, I'm guessing Flock would be the vendor that we would choose for the drones. And I have significant concerns about them as a company and how they protect data from, and unless it's going to a closed circuit inside one of our city buildings where it cannot be accessed by anyone else other than our police department, then I don't necessarily think what you're saying is that accurate, because while I do agree in a vacuum, it does provide transparency over a crime scene. 100%, and I think there's a significant amount of value to that. If it was only us and it would go to servers in the back room somewhere, I would be more comfortable with that. But that's not, from my understanding, how the drone technology works.
It's a video feed. It should be a video feed going straight into the operator's screen, which is sitting at the public
where is
safety
it
center.
stored? It's the same concept that we've talked about with the other programs, the surveillance programs, is where is that information stored?
But it's not even surveillance. That's what I'm saying. It's not even surveillance. It's literally a camera going to an active crime scene based on a 911 call as a first responder to put eyes on. There's no profiling going on. It's putting eyes on so that you can communicate with the operator.
You're surveilling a scene.
Right, but the use of the word surveillance is being hijacked. It's being thrown into every different kind of way that we communicate. This is it's like the Axon, which also provides drone programs just like this, is a vendor that we use for all of our body cams. So I don't know. We can look into it more, but I do not think that the data for just collecting one person after another 24 hours a day, where you know where everyone is going at all points in time, that's the data that can really be used in ways that we don't want. But a single camera from a drone that can launch the moment a 911 call happens and go directly over the scene of a crime, I mean, it is going to instantly increase the ability for first responders. That's just all across the board, to be able to figure out what is going on and to be able to direct responding officers. And then in addition, you don't even have to dispatch, because the drone can get there so fast, you can realize that it's not an issue that requires everybody going, even if the call came in that way. It actually reduces the amount of staff over a period of time that is required and deploys the staff in the best way. It's just efficient in every way. I don't think that the critique of the license plate reader is being used for just cameras and technology that is extremely beneficial and does not have the same risk as what the license plate reader.
But I'm not disputing the use of the technology and how our police department, who I firmly trust to use it responsibly as it's intended, this has nothing to do with how our police department would utilize the drones. It's where does the information go? And if someone can tell me that these drones are, supercharged versions of what, our comms department uses at events, and it's literally just, that's what we're talking about here, and it's not associated with a data collection company, which that is.
Where is the footage for all the body cam information stored?
I don't know that answer.
There's way more body cam footage being recorded, just like a drone would record, constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not storing that, on a CD-ROM in a shelf. It's being stored on a server and then uploaded into a cloud.
And who owns that server? Who has access to that server?
Well, I don't.
Yeah. So if you don't mind,
Yes, sir.
I intervene. I know we're talking about the budget, but this could also lead to future budgets down the road is I think to the point of the policy and the procedures for all of these surveillance cameras from with our Cobb Police Department. And Mr. Heiser, we had a conversation about this. I think when we get to the point to where our city or our police department gets to the point to where they have their own individual IT department that can be able to utilize the technology and not have to rely on a third party, not have to rely on a company, that we have an IT department within the Cobb Police that can develop those that kind of technology. And then it is kept from within our boundaries where we don't have to lease it out or rely on Flock or whatever surveillance company we have. I think once we do that, we can actually bring it together and be able to hold that information to say, well, where is this being stored at? Well, it could be our own IT department, but that would be probably a future budget down the road once we get people on board with that. But I understand how everybody is concerned about it, and I know you're looking at maybe not supporting a canine department this year as well. When we've talked about it recently, and I know a month ago we had a very serious situation here where we had to evacuate. Now I know a lot of people may look at it, well, this was a swatting issue, situation, everything's under control. But what if that specific moment we did have a realistic threat where we had a device somewhere underneath these chairs, somewhere in the women's bathroom? We would be able to have an actual canine unit to be able to find that individual device and be able to utilize that type of a response. So I'm kind of looking at it in that sense. But again, everybody feels different, and I don't want it to feel like this is against the police department, because I know a lot of people have no issues about having cameras at a bank. They have no issues with cameras at Walmart. They don't have an issue with giving your ID to the school attendance desk to take your kid out, because where does that information go when you give that ID to that person there and you get your badge on, right? Where does that server go? But it always comes back because it's the police. It always comes back because it's the police. And but that's just unfortunate, maybe the sentiment that we have in this country or in these communities, where how can we trust our public servants with the technology? And I think that's the bigger issue. But I think going forward on the budget, I would like to try to keep as much as we can of what our Chief Barnett is requesting. He has been holding off on the canine unit for a couple of years now. And I know former Councilmember Parsley brought that budget item about a year ago. I specifically asked her if we could just wait till whenever the chief is ready with his department plans to support something like that. So that's kind of how I feel on that. But as far as the budget for myself, I've been kind of going through it, and I don't really have anything as of yet to kind of pull and look at, but I will let you know.
Well, I will just say that, I've never really liked the idea of Kyle having a canine unit, but I think your point is well taken, and I fully intend to support the budget. I was prepared to support it as is, but just the conversation came up, and so I would prefer not to, but just in general, it's not a strong opinion, but I think of the example you gave and the call that comes in, and I think, yes, if there was a situation where there could have been a situation in that one moment where a canine unit would have been valuable, but what would also have been valuable is the moment that call comes in, you hit a button and have eyes on the sky over this entire place with people moving in every direction. Everything is being recorded from a different vantage point that is hard to describe how much value that is, and being recorded so that you can go back and see who was moving in which direction and try to see. It'll help you solve a crime, and that kind of value add is just over and over and over again every single day, and it doesn't have teeth, and it doesn't So anyway, so I'm just, even though I normally argue against, that's just why I believe in the technology. I'm not trying to dismiss your claims. I know it may sound like I am. I believe that that drone program and the technology is such that it is, you know, I used to say, Chief, I hope he doesn't hear me. I hope he's not listening. But I used to say that, like, if we gave it to them, they'd have a helicopter. That was how, you know, like the way my thinking was. They want a helicopter to park on the roof, right? But it was just because they, you know, they love the technology and want to grow because it can help. But the technology has merged in such a way that drones, which I'm an advocate for, and, you know, so anyway.
Well,
All right.
look, just as a closing thought on the drone, and we're going to have other opportunities to ask questions, and I know I can just ask Chief at a later time about the drone usage and what kinds of drones and where the information would be stored. Is it in-house? Like, if that's the case and it's stored in-house, I'm totally fine with this.
I just would
100%.
assume
So-
that the video is stored in the same way that all of their.
Well, that's what we've all actually said, that we need a policy, a better policy, because we don't actually have a stated policy around any of it. And I've seen what Flock's policy is, because that's the vendor that we've chosen, and it's not great.
The vendor we use for our license plate reader is Flock.
Yes.
Yeah, not for our body cams.
I'm not talking about body
Okay,
cams.
it felt like you were saying that.
No.
Because he was bringing up body cams, and all of a sudden you said the vendor we chose was.
Well, what I'm saying is that the drone program is more like a body cam than it is a license plate reader, regardless of the vendor who provides the service.
Yeah, and so.
But a minute ago, you stated that the body camera, and then he went, that the vendor is Flock. It's not Flock. It's Axon.
No, the body camera is Axon.
Yeah.
The drone provider is multiple vendors. Axon is one of them, and Flock is one of them. So they have different programs, but Flock uses the DJI, much better equipment. It's just better equipment. So I don't know about the surveillance, but it's better equipment.
Anyway, so Chief, if you are listening, if the data goes in-house and it's protected like the body cam footage, then I'm totally okay with this.
All right. Do we want to go ahead and make the $15,000 increase? Is that what y'all want to do, to go back to the way it was last year from the 30,000? That was the other one. That's actually an actionable item if we want to make and give him time to find it. But he needs to know if we want to go back to that level.
Well, I think I'm going to have a contract on, I guess what I'm suggesting to you is I'm going to have a contract on your agenda for your consideration on, I think, September 16th, that second meeting in September. And Pervez and I can find those funds. That's an item that we could go back and then bring that back as an amendment, so we could have that for you all at one time, with anything else that you might have at the same time.
Okay.
Just want to.
Go ahead.
I've been waiting longer.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I've been waiting for a while, actually. So what I wanted to do is talk about the K-9 and the, what do you call it, drone. I actually think the drone is advantageous, but I think about what other possibilities for the drone. I think about search and rescue. How many times a year do we get a call that there's a resident who is lost because of his, he probably got something going on with him, right? A kid or somebody elderly. We always think about those situations, and a drone could really help in that situation in real time, like the mayor said. I think that would be a great way. With the K-9, I'm still a little iffy, and the reason why is that I know that canines don't perform every job out there, and that's what I'm thinking. Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's some that are specifically for drug sniffing, some for bomb smithing, other for different crime elements. Are they able to train every canine for every situation or not? That's kind of what my question to Chief would be if he's listening from his board. But actually, I would think that it would be more advantageous for us to have 2 drones instead of the K-9. And the reason why is I think the drones could get there so much quicker. The technology in them for the heat signatures, everything else that is associated with them, and the camera systems now, I think would be more advantageous than having a K-9. And that's just my thought.
I could not agree more with that.
Yeah, so it's just kind of what I'm thinking about right now, and the reason why is that I think about the speed. How fast can we get to, what if one drone goes down, we've got that backup. That's something I think of. And when Chief was talking about our officers having to search for someone one time. I'm thinking about how fast that drone could be there and help them in that situation over a K-9. So I'm not going to pretend to be an officer, but I'd love to get that feedback from Chief and before we make a decision on this to try to see where we're going. And Councilmember Heiser did bring up a point. I want to know where we're storing this information. It's important, especially the way we are in our country right now, making sure we're not weaponizing something that's important. But right now, I think I'd be more in favor of 2 drones if we're storing that locally.
So if I could offer, if those are items that you'd like more information on at the next meeting on the 19th, we can have the chief here. We'll go through the data issues and how that data is being used. We do have direction from the council to proceed with creating the data policy. We're underway with that. We're looking at hiring an independent consultant as we talked to you about that before. That will take some time, but we're underway on doing that. And as far as the K-9, I think there are some uses that can be combined for one animal, but I don't want to tell you what all those are. I need the chief to be able to kind of walk you through that. I think the 2 primary uses, as I recall from his presentation back in June, it was for narcotics, and it was also for safety issues. If there was a suspect that went into a wooded area or into an urban area, and rather than sending an officer in to go around a corner and see where that suspect might be and the danger that's associated with it, the K-9 could be used for that purpose. So those are the 2 primary things I think the chief talked about. But again, we can have him go back through that with you on the 19th and talk about potential options with other drones or whatever options that you want to look at.
Look, so you'd prefer that we held off on budget amendments until then?
I do.
Okay.
I think what I recommend to you is that if you have information that you want, options that you want, you ask us to give you that information. We bring it back in an orderly fashion. We can walk through it and make sure you have all the information you need to make some kind of amendment. You're certainly willing, if you want to do those tonight, I think you can. It's just, I'm not sure you have all the information that you need to do that.
Well, I wouldn't do anything with
Based on
drone.
the conversation
Just
I've heard.
speaking specifically about the K-9 program, I'd like to see that money reallocated either to fund our sidewalk master plan or more community policing initiatives, giving Officer Pates, Officer Plant more support, or more mental health officers. That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah, just make a few comments for residents who've reached out to me, right, about this budget. Brian, so we have a $603 million budget, but really 470 of that is 2 major infrastructure needs, roads and wastewater. So that's correct, right?
I believe it's 370. So, Professor, correct me if I'm wrong, 241 was water and wastewater, and 130 million for roads. So,
Right.
370. It's getting late, so I may not be
So,
doing the math.
so a large concern that I get is like the amount of bond debt that we're accruing. So we are getting up to $265 million in bond debt. Perez? Right? So Perez, I guess when I look at it like long-term and our trend as the city, how do we ensure that our net position stays sustainable and that we are not going to be facing deficits or the situation where we have a lot of our revenue is being used to pay this bond debt and not meeting our essential services? So that, I guess that is the only worry for me as a council member. But I understand that all of this is investment that is going to be, infrastructure value. So, I mean, can you speak a little bit to the bond debt, and then over time, are we relying too much on expected revenues to pay down this bond debt?
Okay, so it's a 2-part answer.
Mm-hmm.
One is the debt is driven as a direct result of capital investment. So it could be bond debt for water infrastructure, wastewater infrastructure, road infrastructure, sidewalks, parks, things like that, library, police stations. You'll recall when we started the budget process, the city manager had a preliminary 5-year forecast Then we refined it as the budget numbers got better. We came back before council, and before we even started discussing the proposed budget, we shared the 5-year forecast. So the purpose of that 5-year forecast is just to answer that exact same question. How does the financial picture look like over the next 5 years, given these set of assumptions for revenues, for expenditures, for debt, and some other things that we include? So that is the first litmus test that we bring to council before we even propose a budget for general fund, for water utility, from wastewater utility. So that's the assurance that you're given from staff when we start the budget process. Every year we do that.
So I think that's a great answer. And, the other thing I would tell you is these are long-term investments that will be paid off over 25, 30 years for the debt, but they will have decades of benefit to the city. And if you think about the revenue streams from the city over the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, they're very substantial in the future. So that's one of the ways we look at this is debt for infrastructure. And if you think about those revenue streams, they're in the billions in terms of what the city's going to be receiving in revenues over that period of time. I also wanted to mention too, I don't think we covered this in the bond issuances earlier, but we have an independent rating that we do with Standard & Poor's, and they provide a bond rating, and there's a lot of great information in that they look at in terms of not only the current year, but our outlook going forward. And if you haven't had a chance to review that, it was in the bond materials that we had for the bond issuances earlier. I think there's some great information in there that might be helpful for you and your constituents when you're looking at these things. I know these numbers are very large. There's no doubt about that. They're the largest in the city's history, right? But the city's also the largest it's ever been in its history, and we continue to grow. And so these are investments that are needed, we believe, to make the city have the proper infrastructure that's needed to continue to grow and serve all the residents that are here. So there's a lot that goes into it, but we wouldn't recommend them to you if we didn't think we could support them financially and be in a good, strong position. The debt by itself as an absolute number is less important than what it is in terms of your assessed valuation or your revenues or what you're using the debt for. All those things matter more than just an absolute number. Any number that I gave you,
Right.
if it was 400 million or 350 million or 300 million, they're all very large. It's just what's the right amount, what are we using it for, and why is it a good investment or not? That's the way we look at it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, when we had the conversation on the budget, you and I, we discussed it. I think we said it was like $600 million in private investment that just came into the city.
Right, yes.
Right, and we added 3,000 new jobs, over the 3-year period. So,
Yes, sir. I think it was, around $543 million over the last 3 years that we've had. When we did the ribbon cutting as an example for Marketplace just last week on the 31st, that development in that area, as I think I mentioned to the group, was $600 million at build-out. We would expect that to have over 2,000 jobs. So it's an example of a capital project that has an ROI to the city when it pays off that way.
now, I know I said this on Saturday, and I'm going to say it again for people who didn't hear it, but I'm really pleased to see the rate studies, the impact fee studies that you did, and the cost savings that you found. Do you think that we might find those cost savings again in future years around that was a big number. You found $20 million in cost savings. So,
We're going to continue looking. We always want to be better and more efficient, and we will continue looking. I can't guarantee exactly what we're going to find. I think in this coming year, we've identified about $8.9 million with the impact fees and some of the other programs that we're recommending. But we'll continue looking. We want it to be as impactful as it can be. The more that we can do there, the more that we can invest in other programs and keeping your rates and your taxes as low as possible for the community.
okay, and it was a great presentation too.
Thank
These
you.
slides really show us all the big key points of this budget, so.
Appreciate that. It's,
Thanks for
again,
the
team
team.
effort on that. We all did a lot of work on it to make it happen, so thank you.
Those are my thoughts.
All right, anything else? Are we ready to go? Motion to adjourn? All right, thank y'all. We're adjourned.